Maverick News presents The Rick Walker Show. Defrag your mind.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Maverick News Channel. I'm Rick Walker. Welcome, Maverick family. Welcome, new viewers, wherever you're tuning in from. Thanks for stopping by. We have a lot of stuff on tap for you tonight. Big story right off the top. This one coming out of Sarnia, Ontario, Canada, where the Leaky Tank Restaurant has scored, I would say, maybe precedent-setting a legal victory against the government and their lockdown tickets. So this goes all the way back. We're going to start with this tonight. This goes all the way back, I believe, to May. Let me just check the dates on this. I'm going to bring up the old story here. Yeah, I think it's May of, well, it's been like 2 years anyway. Here's what happened. You may recall this. This made national news. Restaurant among dozens fined by Sarnia police for reopening Ontario Act violations. And so back then, Sarnia police issued dozens of fines. They went around town, and you remember what it was like. How could we forget? So the Leaky Tank truck stop was issued a fine for allegedly allowing in-house dining. My goodness. Police say they initially issued a warning, but when the restaurant continued to operate, they issued an $800 fine. And the legal drama continued and continued and continued. As I'm sure you're aware, this was what it was like. This is January 21st, 2022, when this post was up, but I don't think the date is right on this. But here's what happened. You may remember this. I've got video of it. Here we go. A little unorganized tonight, folks, but that's okay. Because the important thing is we're going to get you the right information. So this is the way it went down. You might have to turn your audio up a bit.
Come up in the freaking office. You either know what charge you're going to be filing or there is no charge. And if you haven't noticed this pandemic, they're making these bullshit rules as they go. Right. So your jurisdiction. Let you know, other than provincial lockdown. Restaurants are not allowed to be here. I'm not under provincial jurisdiction ever. You're on sovereign land. My paralegal is on his way here. You can discuss it with him. Okay. Well, I'm just asking you, and I'm educating you right now. If you do not shut this down, follow the provincial rules. Right. I don't follow provincial rules here. There will be charges coming. Okay. So that is? There will be some charges coming. What kind of charges? You don't know. I'm telling you. You shut this down. What do you mean you don't know?
If you don't know,
what charges are, what, you're going to go trump them up in the freaking office?
Jeez.
You either know what charge you're going to be filing or there is no charge. And if you haven't noticed this pandemic, they're making these bullshit rules as they go. Right. Your jurisdiction. Let you know.
So that's the way that went down. And then there was this, well, we've got another video just to kind of complete the picture for you. Here we go.
These are not constitutional laws on any human being. As long as you're aware that you're doing the work. Oh, what? Wait a minute. Why don't you stay and talk to my lawyer? Why don't you talk to my lawyer? Wow. Holy. You guys are awful. Awful, turning on your own citizens. Why don't you go live in communist China? Go live on the credit store. come in try to take people's livelihoods to make a living. Get
Sherry,
the
don't
fuck
question
out and
her.
don't come back. Don't shake your head at me either, you fucking brown shirt.
So that was Sherry. She's the proprietor of the Leaky Tank in Sarnia. And the person they did not wait for was her paralegal, Matthew Olson. Hello, sir.
Hey, good evening. How are you, Rick?
I'm just fine. How are you?
You know what? Today's a good day.
Yeah, congratulations on having the charges against Sherry dropped. And she's joining us now as well. Hello, Sherry. How are you?
Finally having technical difficulty, but I'm here now. That's all that matters.
Well,
I'm
welcome.
okay. It was a happy day today. We needed some hope.
Yeah, it's great to get some positive news for a change. The
Sure
kind of
is.
news that benefits people instead of the
Yep.
government.
Yeah. Passionate people.
Yeah. Can you
Yeah.
take us back in time, Sherry, and just tell us how all this began? Let's start at the very beginning.
Well, it just began regularly with the COVID and everybody else scrambling about trying to figure things out. And in the beginning, I did shut down for the original beginning couple weeks, and I knew in my heart that the whole situation was all wrong. So I complied for a bit, and then just couldn't do it anymore. Just for the mere fact, and it wasn't even really about paying the bills for me, because the bills were getting paid. We get a lot of takeout from the refineries. We were doing okay, but it's my grandchildren's freedom, and I knew what direction this was going to go in, and it just didn't sit well with me. So I started to being the rebel, I guess, because I know they were provincial mandates. I know provincial government has no jurisdiction on First Nations land. I've known that from the time I was a small girl.
And just
And
to clarify for people, where exactly is your restaurant located?
it's Omjanong First Nation, which is like a suburb of the city of Sarnia. It's nestled in within all the industrial refineries. That has its downfalls for them with the pollution and things like that, but
Right.
it's a good industrial sector for business and thriving commerce. And honestly, that's one of the biggest. It's kind of a rough spot for Omjanong, but at the same time, it makes them such a wealthy community. They do take advantage of that situation with pipelines and such, right? So it's good. It's good for commerce, and it's always been good for me. But it was bigger than that. It was a freedom issue, and I knew that there was that loophole there, and maybe if I could just stand courageously. I was kind of hoping it was contagious, but I know half the city thinks I'm bonkers. I actually private message restaurants on their Facebook saying, like, come on, do this with me. Like, this isn't about a virus. We got to do this for the future. And I'm sending it out to European restaurant owners. You think these people would know more than I know about this stuff, right? But no responses. A couple responses, but not much, because everybody's so fear filled, right?
Yeah.
But you can't let your fear stop you, because they're coming for our life if we don't start taking on some of these battles and winning, right? We got to start getting some obstacles hurdled here. So I ended up staying open, and then one day the police
And
come.
just when exactly did all this start to happen? When they started to come around and give you a hard time?
Just when they shut me down the first time, they just came in and they gave me a fine like everybody else. And there was a couple of us in here in Sarnia that were rebels and standing our ground. So they kind of did their circus, their circle. They went to one of the gyms, and they were like looking all tough, and they got a lot of Facebook press for that. And they went to another place in Petrolia nearby, and he was standing firm. And I didn't think they would come to me, because I know they're out of their jurisdiction, but they came anyway. So they left me with an $880 fine and threatened me if they came back, there was going to be $100,000 fine. So I did go home for a bit, but then I honestly just felt the Lord pulling at me that I wasn't having enough faith in him to protect me and to help me with this stand. And all signs from the universe were pointing to me being the next David and Goliath. So I just made a deal with him as long as he made me feel peaceful and at rest with this, and I can do this. So, and then Matt came along, thank God. It was funny because I had a customer in the restaurant the day that I think he was there the day that I chased the big viral video that went viral when I chased the health inspectors out of the place.
Right.
It was that day. I think he was in there, and he gave Matt a phone call and he said, "Hey, Matt, I think I found your woman." Because he said Matt had been looking for somebody that would just have the courage to stand up so he could jump in the ring with them. And so we ended up hooking up, and we prayed about it and we slept on it. And then we decided that we were going to try to fight for the next generation.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So Matt, I'll just throw it over to you for a moment. You got connected with Sherry, and how did you initially view this case? As something that was winnable right from the beginning, or where were you at?
So, given my profession, I've got to start out with proviso. I'm not going to give any legal advice. No one should have to do anything based on what I'm saying or am not saying. All right. So, that's out of the way, Rick. Go ahead.
Okay, so how did you first assess this case with Sherry? Was this something that you thought she had a chance with?
To me, it was a liberty-related issue. The first time I chatted with her, and Sherry, I can share this, can I?
Anything you want.
I was so upset about what was going on with her. We walked around in her lot for an hour. Well, she ranted and I ranted, and we thought, it's cigarette after cigarette, just us walking the pavement off in the parking lot. How did I look at it? I looked at it as a liberty-related issue. There are certain things, and I don't remember who it was that was said it. I think we give credit to Franklin for the phrase, if the law is unjust, a man is not only right to disobey it, he's morally obligated to do so. And who would have thought that locking people in their home, not allowing them to leave, not allowing them to go to work, forcing masks on them, and keeping their children out of school would have been a bad thing? You would think that would be wonderful and there's no issues. Certainly, the abusive husband and the rise of, I believe it's 500% in the city of London in the first month of lockdown in domestic violence wasn't a direct result of that. So how do I view it? I viewed it as a liberty-related issue. And her and I came to this spot, and I come to this spot with all of my clients. If you want to go forward, I don't care if you're right or you're wrong, but you are morally and ethically correct. And if we can't win it, I'm going to fight until they shoot me, so to speak.
Right.
And I believe that's where she came from too.
Yeah. So where did you find the courage, Sherry, to stand up to this?
God.
Yep.
Yeah. See, the tank's kind of a special place. It always, let's just back up a little bit. I hadn't even worked. Like, the Leaky Tank was my first job ever. And the only reason I went there was because I dreamt about it for 6 years, that I was the entrepreneur in this little diner with bright fire engine red chairs. Never had been in the place, kept dreaming about it. Finally went into the place, and I thought, wow, this is it. This is the place. So I thought, okay, the Lord's sending me to it. He'll lead me through it. So I talked to somebody that day, and I had inquired a little bit earlier after a couple of years of dreams, and then they went on for several more years. So when I did decide, I went to them and I said, what's going on with the restaurant? And they said, why do you want it? I said, I do. He said, you'll have the key tonight. So they terminated who was in there, who was very delinquent, and gave me the keys that day. So for me, it was an ordained thing, and I've had a lot of incredibly amazing godly experiences in the place. I've had one woman just totally born again, most amazing thing I've ever seen there. And I just honestly believe that the Holy Spirit has dwelt there with me for the 24 years that I've been there. We've never had a complaint on food. We pray as a group in our kitchen. Like, staff are generally believers, and there's been times that we just stop and we pray as a group. It's just a place that's quite magical. We have customers that come in sick. We take them in the back room and we pray for them. We're just a really different place. I had a gentleman come in one day in his 60s. I hadn't seen him in a couple of years. So I caught him at the corner of my eye, and it surprised me. And I said, hey, I haven't seen you. He said, no. He said, I came to see you. I have to talk to you. And I said, okay, well, let's go around the corner here. I go around the corner here. This man says to me, I've been really thinking about killing myself. I keep thinking about going up on the bridge and jumping. So it's like, whoa, I'm glad you came here then. Talk to him about how hard and trying life is for not just him, but everybody. Prayed with him that day. He gave his heart to the Lord that day. And that was several years ago. And I think he's still doing okay now. But he came in a couple months later and he said, thank you so much. He said, I don't know what I would have done if this place wasn't here. He said, there's not everywhere in the world that you can find a Frankie and a Sherry. And Frankie was the born again girl. So it's just a place where everybody loves each other in the tank. It's really, really going to be sadly missed because it's a very, very special place. I've served people all around the world too, that like our fan club, they're from everywhere because we have all the refineries. So when they come to town on special jobs and stuff, they always come to the tank. So it's a pretty amazing place that we have there. And so I just think he leads me, and I honestly think he's been using this place. When my video went viral, when Donald Trump Jr. shared it, people for days called from all over the world crying, bawling their face off, saying, you gave me courage. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You gave me courage. And one of the most amazing phone calls was from an American soldier who was stationed in Hawaii. And he called to say that him and the boys were really proud of my courage. And it's people like me that give them the strength to keep on fighting. So that was one of the most touching. So this whole experience has been completely amazing. It's been heartfelt. It's been exciting. It's been scary. But I really think God's just using the place. I think he went viral that day, actually. And after getting all these phone calls, it inspired a lot of people. Like I had a guy just call me 2 weeks ago just to say, hey, I'm still thinking about you down here in Utah. And like they still think about the tank, right? So it seemed kind of big. So anyway, shall we go back to after I guess we shut down a few weeks, Matt? And then I finally told Matt, I said, Matt, I said, the Lord's pushing me to go back. I just found myself all day long, the people that he just supernaturally protected in the Bible were just jumping in my head all day long. And it's like, okay, I'll go back and I'm going to trust you. So I told Matt, he said, can you give me a couple days? I said, okay. So we went back in on a Thursday and we, as usual, we kind of didn't follow the rules. We had too many people in when we were only supposed to have 10. We were supposed to have outdoor dining, but we had indoor dining. Waitresses were supposed to wear masks, but I said no, because in the beginning I did. And the one young lady that worked there for many years, I had never once in my life seen her use an asthma puffer at work. And then all of a sudden she's wearing a mask, and every time you turn around, she's puffing on this thing. And I'm like, why are you doing that? And she said, because of the mask. I said, well, then take it off. And if you're not wearing it, nobody's wearing it. So that was the end of masks. So we had people lined up out the door, completely lined up out the door. Some days people would wait an hour and a half at one point to even get into the restaurant.
Wow.
Because it was the only place you could go and be free. When everybody was locked down and Santa was behind glass, plexiglass and everything, we had this awesome Santa come to us and say, hey, let's do something special for the kids. So we did. We ended up filling the dining room 5 times with kids and moms, had a gift for all of them. They got to climb all over Santa Claus. They got to go outside, and we had a horse and wagon ride for them. And we had moms saying they left there and they wept for their children's happiness because it's the first time they felt like human beings. So people appreciate the stand just for that way. I had a woman telling me she's sure her husband would have died if he could not have gotten out and went somewhere. And they were there every day, so it's been a wonderful ride. So they did come back a couple times, but for some reason they never did give me the $100,000 fine, because they knew they were doing wrong. So they kept saying, well, we're just going to give you a warning. And then that was it. After that was it. And then my whiteboard got me in trouble after that. Things were going okay. Then my whiteboard got me in trouble. It went viral a second time. And
Your whiteboard?
Yeah. I I kind of got famous. I had people coming in from like different cities and taking pictures of my whiteboard. Every morning on Facebook, I would post my specials on a whiteboard and I'd put it on Facebook so everybody would know what we're having in lunch. So then I started calling everybody in the city out. So I made everybody mad. I've called out the mayor for crimes against humanity. I've called out the corrupt radio networks for what they're doing with all their COVID and their fear mongering.
Mm-hmm.
I called out this young morning radio broadcaster guy. He's young, like he went to school with my sons, and here he's caught up in this lie of all these COVID numbers and the scam and hiding the death count and everything. And I called him out on my board, told him, you're going to be in trouble. You better go find a new career. And you know what? I don't know if you knew that, Matt. He did. That Max in the morning, he found a new career. So he's no longer working for the corrupt media. I called out Lambton Health. I've called out Hollywood. I've called out the Vatican, and I'm just posting all the truth out there. But then I posted one day, and what it was it was actually like a paragraph out of the letter that the Russian consulate wrote to Canada before Russia invaded Ukraine, saying that they were not going in to occupy, they were going in to denazify it. Yeah. Well, oh my goodness, that went, just dirty viral. Instantly, the phone was ringing. People were telling my daughter-in-law they were going to come and hang her in front of her children. We had death threats, just awful, calling me a Russian lover. And up until like 6 weeks ago, still getting threats from people. It was awful, awful. Seeing the worst of humanity, even in our own community. The phone never stopped ringing and hanging up. And people would say they'd want to talk to me, and so okay, I could be reasonable, let's talk then, and I'll tell you my side of the story. So they would call me all these filthy names, and when it was my turn to talk, they would literally, like a child, go blah 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 blah, so you couldn't hear it. I can't even understand their mentality. Some of these people, they were like unhinged. And then I had Omjanong, chief and counsel, put a letter out saying that they denounce my theory on this and they don't stand with me. So then we got all these customers and all these companies in our city waving all these blue and yellow flags, not even knowing what the Ukraine government has been doing to their own citizens, killing children. Awful situation. So they're standing behind all this corruption, looking stupid. Like, how stupid are you when you give death threats and you're even wrong? You know, you're not even right about the situation. So since that happened, we haven't really recovered from that, honestly. Like, it's awful. I know every politician, I shouldn't say every, but a lot of the politicians are very resentful of me. But you know what? When I'm right, I'm right. And I just can't be like other people and let this happen. And my grandchildren, there's no reason to live for any of us if we don't win against these people.
So Matt, take us through the chronology of the legal battle. There's the first $880 ticket, and then what happens?
Well, it goes back a little further, and I of course don't want to take too much time, but it goes back a little further. It was the health department stopping in before this day, and the date you were looking for earlier, Rick, was 5/4 of 21.
21, right?
So this is almost 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that brings up other legal discussions we could have, but we'll skip those. They had gone to her restaurant a few times, the health department or police officers under the guise of public health, and said, you're not supposed to be open. And I would get a call from Sherry, and who talked to you, and who are they? And I would run down there, and I would give her a hug, and I would have something to eat, and then I would give these people a phone call. Hey, you're trespassing on Indigenous land. The ROA, the Reopening Ontario Act, couldn't possibly apply to a reservation. Okay. We'll leave her alone. And I was told 3 separate times by the public health department and their officials that we will leave them alone. I have a letter in Ms. Stewart's file from the public health department telling me they have no jurisdiction there. They have no business there, in essence.
Yep.
So then and so I'm already retained. I'm already working, and she's a friend of mine, right? I believe my wife's known her for quite a while, right? And so we get this day, and I get a phone call from her. And so we'll get right down there, and without going into details, we get this ticket, and we're able to, the policemen are still there, and I'm speaking with them, and then Sherry decides she's gonna, close at the end of the day, and so she closed. And then Sherry and I had a series of discussions over the next few weeks where it was, I want to open again. This is wrong. I want to be open. And I explained what my view of the law to her, and I explained to her that, hey, look, I could be wrong. I do not believe I am. In particular with Sherry's case, some of who I consider to be the brightest legal minds in our country have talked to me about this lady's matter. I had the best opinion one could possibly get regarding her. I had my own mind working on it, my own staff working on it, and we had some of the brightest lawyers and paralegals this country has to offer going, you're right, go forward. So then we get to this day, she gets the ticket, and we go forward. But then it comes to court. And I don't remember exactly, and Sherry, you don't, of course, mind me sharing, right?
Okay, no, go for it.
We get to court. I mean, I think our first time in court was, gosh, it seems like this has been going on a year, but the first time when we got this ticket, or when she got this ticket, I wrote the prosecutor a letter. I called the prosecutor personally, and I walked that prosecutor at the time, which is 3 or 4 of them. I walked that prosecutor through every angle and matter of law that made her correct, and the police being on reservation property in order to enforce public health law incorrect. I got no response. They certainly didn't want to pay attention and use the rule of law and apply that ahead of persecuting this for political reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I contacted the Minister of Indigenous Affairs, our Member of Parliament, our Member of Provincial Parliament. I have a list of people, pages long, that I've spoken to about this. In order just simply to go, you're wrong, you can't do this. And let me break that down for a minute. I want to try and explain how this is different. Okay? Besides your is that okay, Rick?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're here for.
Your basic charter arguments, your basic mobility rights, your basic freedom of movement, your basic human rights code, your basic privacy law. Besides all of those and their application to the matter at hand, and whether or not the ROA and its subsequent lockdowns were of any legal status whatsoever. Besides all of that, in particular with Sherry, there is a couple of theories I want to touch base on. First of all, Sherry's restaurant is on a reservation. As such, she is on federal land. The Indian Act governs that federal land. It says things specifically like, no white man health law, and I'm paraphrasing, but this is often used in textbook, no white man health law on a reservation. We won't allow that. Well, the public health measures were certainly our government's version of medical law. Yes. Then let's go a little further. The Reopening Ontario Act and the Emergency Management Civil Protection Act. In fact, I want to pull something up. I'm not going to share it with you, but I want to pull up the original matter. There it is. So if I look at the original ticket, on the face of the ticket, it's written to, there it is. It's written to Sherry at her address, and it says, did commit the offense of individual failure to comply with a continuing section 0.0.2 order. My glasses aren't working. Contrary to the Reopening Ontario Act. Section 7.0.2 does not exist in that act. It's never been there. It's in the Emergency Management and Civil Protection Act. That is akin to receiving a speeding ticket on the side of the road, and we've all gotten them. I got a lot when I was younger. But receiving a speeding ticket, and that speeding ticket would say, did they commit the offense of speeding in violation of, contrary to the act? It would say, 50 or 60 and a 50, and it would list the crime, and then it would list the act. Because at moment of first instance, when you are charged, you have to be aware of what law you have broken. You have to have a reference point for it. This ticket is absolutely written backwards. That section does not exist in that law. Let's go a little further. The Reopening Ontario Act applied to public health units. Sherry Stewart is not inside of a public health unit, because for her to be inside of a public health unit, that would violate the Indian Act and its treaty. So when I look at that video that you played earlier, and you were playing it while I was backstage, I always cry. I always get very upset about that. And here's why. What I see in that video is a bunch of people working for governmental agencies walking into her restaurant in order to interrupt her business while wearing guns. I'm sorry. That is federal land. It is sovereign. It belongs to the indigenous people of this country. And our police force drove onto that land for the stated purpose of violating the Indian Act so that they could satisfy local politicians. I'm not going to use the word invasion, but certainly if we were talking about it in any other context, that would be appropriate. An armed officer of another country went to sovereign land and decided to impose their law on it. I think there's a war currently going on, and we're not happy about that in mainstream because of that reason. Now, additionally, being that the law didn't apply to her or her location, being all of the other concerns that one could raise on this type of an offense, being that we made them aware, every level of government, every prosecutor on this case, everybody who had any involvement in this, including the police officers who issued the ticket. I spoke with them personally that day. After we gave them all fair warning, they continued to persecute her since this ticket. The next week, I made the local prosecutor's office aware of the illegality of that. We have a term in the practice of law. It is called the rule of law, and it's a phrase that comprises our rules, our procedure, our pattern, our morality, and our ethics regarding how we do this. Her ticket, her subsequent prosecution, and everything until today was a violation of the rule of law. And today was only not a violation, and in my mind, it is a violation because it is 2 years too late. There should have never been a ticket issued. There should have never been a call to go there. They should not have gone there. The Police Services Act, that's provincial legislation, governs the rules that a policeman or a uniformed or non-uniformed in this province acts with. The officers who issued the ticket had a duty to know why they were issuing the ticket and whether or not it was lawful. Their chief, their watch, the mayor in charge of them, the city officials in charge of them had a duty to know the law. They did not know the law. And then they went on to slander her in newspapers, in private meetings, in public meetings, via the radio, via the pen. That's libel and slander.
Right. Along with
the chief of that tribe, who recently, Sherry, may I share this? Who recently he was at a meeting, and he proceeded to call Sherry a criminal. Sherry, may I share this?
Yeah.
We're not done. We're not even close to being done. We have a present for everyone involved in this that broke the law. We are going to hold them to the rule of law and hold them to the oath they took in their office. They have acted outside of the Human Rights Code. They have acted outside of the Charter. They have acted outside of provincial and federal law. They have acted outside of their own oaths of office. They have acted outside of the Indian Act. What they have done to her from a legal standpoint is as ridiculous as saying, you drove wearing a blue shirt in Wisconsin, so we're going to give you a $1,000 fine because you drove wearing a blue shirt in Wisconsin. It is absolutely has no legal basis whatsoever in my mind.
And the process has become the punishment in this case. That's why I can see why you are so eager to continue to pursue damages, because she's already basically paid the price.
This was an $880 ticket, and I'm not allowed to say what our retainer says, and I'm not going to.
Yeah.
But certainly there has been more than that amount of work. And why? Because her instruction to me was, do not plead me guilty, do not say I did it, continue to fight them until the end. And my acceptance of that was, I wouldn't do any of that for you. I wouldn't plead you guilty. You've done nothing wrong. And what's the actual cost? let's go to, in my mind, what's the actual cost that hasn't taken place yet. This dear woman who loves the Lord, who fed, and this one really gets me, who fed RCMP, OPP, and Sarnia Police, the Sarnia Fire Department, during the pandemic when they weren't supposed to be in that building. They attended and ate. Because, oh my goodness, right? We obey the law. We know what the law is. We're certainly going to obey it. The real, and that's a backtrack, but the real damage here is the rest of her life. It's the, Sherry, what do you got? 10 people working there?
Oh, me? Yeah, probably around there. Let me say something quickly about the police too. After my Russian post, they weren't, none of them were allowed to come in anymore.
Yeah. They told the police officers where they could eat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we're going to Krabby Joe's and you're expecting heartburn. This is a wonderful diner making fresh homemade food.
Yeah.
No,
they haven't been back.
The real damage here hasn't occurred yet because of this issue. The management company that runs the industrial park she's rented in for 20 years.
24.
Benefiting member of the community, money to charity, jobs to the people in the area. She's lost her lease because, in the words of her management company, she performed a criminal act. The entire thing is political. And I said that in court on numerous occasions. This is the clearest issue of political prosecution I've seen in this country, other than I can think of Randy Hillier's matter.
Yeah. Now, this case is different because it's on First Nations land.
True.
Right. So it's important to point that out. What can you explain to other people out there why that's so important? Because a lot of people who maybe are still fighting legal battles similar to this aren't, in a different situation a little bit.
It's sad, actually. My wife gave me a notification today that there is another restaurant owner in another part of the province who lost today. Buck and Joe's apparently lost their matter today. Yes, this one is a little different on the basis, and should the owner of Buck and Joe's hear this, please reach out. I'd like to help you for free. It's a little different because she is on sovereign land. She is on land that's governed by federal law. There's a purely, magical is the wrong term, but there's a purely distinctive magical line that takes place, and she is clearly on the other side of it. So when you look at the other matters, there was a Tom's Place in Petrolia, a friend of ours. He owned a restaurant in Petrolia, lovely diner. Made great pot roast, which my wife would make fun of me because apparently I'm not old enough to eat pot roast for dinner or to desire that. So, but he had a similar issue. They made a parade out of this. They went to Sherry's, then they went to Tom's. Just a parade. They were pulling out of the stop, so everyone would be very afraid and obey Daddy. Excuse me. But how is he different from a legal standpoint? She is on sovereign land. She's in another country. That's an easy way to put it. You are trying to apply our speeding laws to the state of Wisconsin. It doesn't make any sense. Now, you can apply speeding laws provincially to a reservation. However, you cannot apply public health laws. It's strictly prohibited by the Indian Act. It's also strictly prohibited by, the ROA and the EMCPA, which are the laws they use to ticket her. So if you look at another instance, say a diner that was open during this, what kind of a defense they had? They had plenty of defense. This is interference with domestic commerce. It's a violation of the charter. It's a violation of mobility rights, potentially. It's a violation of the Human Rights Code. Them coming into a restaurant is a violation of the Privacy Code. I had one client who I'm not allowed to mention. I love Sherry. She lets me talk about her. I had more clients I'm not allowed to mention, and my advice to that client was, maybe your restaurant is a private members club and they pay admission on their way in. I don't know when the government thought that shutting down capitalism was a good idea. And did it save lives? Statistically, Rick, I know I've heard you talk on a couple occasions about those factors. So how is it different? it's another country, and that's an easy way of putting it. But if we can understand it in the Wisconsin way I said earlier, well, it's very simple. It's another country. Your laws didn't apply, and you knew they didn't apply.
Exactly. So I'm going to run the video today where you went to give Sherry the good news.
This was an accident, by the way. I called Sherry, and Sherry didn't answer. I knew she was there, and I was hungry. I went down there with my wife, and I went, you know what? I'm not telling her. Let's take a video of her. We'll give it to her later.
Here we go.
Hi, honey. Do we have good news? What's happening?
Sherry, can I grab you?
Oh, I meant to call you. Somebody just left. Yes.
Can I grab you for a minute?
What happened?
We're going to videotape. Sherry, hey, I'm with Lee Stewart from the Leaky Tank. My name is Matthew C. Olson. I'm Mrs. Stewart's legal counsel. Sherry, this is the first time she's hearing it. Sherry, your charges were withdrawn today. Now, hey, let's get this on the record. Sherry, we discussed what we're going to do when this happens.
I've been so bullied. This is great.
Can I go forward now?
Yeah.
It's your turn. Now you're going to go get them.
Yeah.
Sue the shit out of that fucker.
Wow.
Sherry, that is so good.
No, reasonable process.
No, probably.
Oh,
He's got us.
He's got us. Oh.
Quite a moment. That was pretty cool.
We had a fun morning. I love that.
Yeah, it was a good day.
That's
Good
probably one of my favorite experiences so far in this.
So when do you expect to get a court date, and how long do you think all of this is going to take?
I was on the phone most of the day with my staff and my colleagues, some people outside of our firm that I want to consult with. Everybody, we're going to spend the next 6 days, roughly, doing a critical analysis of her matter from start to finish. I started part of it today. It's about 17 pages long so far. I'm going to break down everyone who had a duty to do something other than what they did and uphold the rule of law. And if they did something other than uphold the rule of law, we're going to go after them. I see 3 criminal offenses and several violations of duty of fair conduct, so to speak.
No, sad thing is the police didn't even want to do it. They liked my food. They didn't even want to be there. They said the fella that was there the day that the video went viral, he did not want to go, but his pension was threatened if he refused. He didn't want to be there. And I didn't even pick on him that day. I was nice to him, actually, because I knew he didn't want to be there.
So who do you go after? Is it the province? Is it the health unit? Is it the municipality? Is it the police? Is it everybody? Bylaw officers, individuals?
Sherry, we're doing this on camera. Sherry, I don't think I'm prepared to talk. I don't think we're prepared to talk about that in public yet.
Okay.
Today we identified 19 individuals or organizations. At a bare minimum, we'll file something like 19 lawsuits.
Wow.
Those 19 lawsuits are going to allege that a person in a position of authority had a duty to understand the law and stop the process of political prosecution, and that they decided not to. Now, again, bear in mind, this is my opinion. I do not expect that anyone's actions to be ruled by me, and this is just what we think.
Right.
So go after people. Well, there's a process. First of all, I believe Sherry's human rights were violated. Next, I believe her mobility rights were violated. Next, being that Sherry is Indigenous, her rights under the Indian Act were violated. And that one's troubling to me because the people in some instances that I'm aware of, we've got a long track record of emails and information that I'm not going to share right now. But the people in some of the instances that are violating her rights under the Indian Act and under Creed as a member of the Indigenous population under the Human Rights Code are people in positions of power in the Indigenous nations. It's mind-numbing to me. So,
Yeah.
and what are we going to do? Well, she's given me permission to go ahead and proceed along the path that I like, and we're going to file lawsuits against every single person that violated her rights, whether that person be sitting in the government or whether they were just acting on orders.
And when they decided to drop the charges today, what exactly was the language that they used?
Okay, so there's two pieces of terminology that they use today. Not in the public interest and no prospect of success. So not in the public interest means it doesn't benefit her. It doesn't benefit us to prosecute her. No prospect of success means we couldn't win. It's quite clear. There's a lot of documents we presented to the court in the various judicial pretrials and staging that we were at. They weren't going to win. That was evident, I don't know, a month after she received the ticket. We made it evident to them. We gave them the rationale. We gave them the standard. We gave them the law. We gave them the argument. There was no, in my mind, there was absolutely no ability for the Crown's office to win against Ms. Stewart. I just don't know where they would have got it from. They're using law from another country and applying it in violation of one of our own laws. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
What was it then? It was political prosecution. Can I prove that? We'll see.
Remember when Rhonda threatened to charge me, but she didn't know what charge? Remember, Matt, in the video? Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Just threats. Just they wanted me just to be timid and not make a ripple. Like they didn't want me to be that one ant that got the whole colony moving against them, right?
So
and the outpouring of people that were affected by what she did, I think, was my favorite part about it. I'm not encouraged by seeing a system, and I believe the system to be doing something incorrect. That upsets me. But when I see the people that gathered behind her to go keep going, I'm brought to tears when I think about all of the people that have contacted her or contacted me and said, "Can I help her?"
Yeah. That was sort of going to be my next question for you, Sherry, is are you seeing now, after all of this has happened, a shift in public attitude toward everything, or are we still really polarized as a community? Running a restaurant,
really.
you must see it.
You know, I'm feeling kind of the negative side a lot, actually. Like I said, ever since that Ukraine post, people, I don't know, bots came out. You wouldn't believe how bad of the attack that was and how viral it went. And people have just got it in their head, and you can't get it out of their head until the truth is starting to trickle out. Even mainstream's having to put a little bit out. It's too late, though. Man, those people deserve a lot of charges on them for all the lies they've told the public and all the truth they've sat on and didn't share with us. We grow up from children thinking when you want the truth, you turn on the news. I thought there was like some kind of code of ethics and laws governing what people could spread out as propaganda, but we know Obama.
Well, when I was at CTV, there was.
Yeah.
I don't think they follow those that code of ethics anymore, but
no, I think Obama signed a bill that you can use propaganda on the American people.
Well, I don't know. I used to be a member of the Radio Television News Directors Association, and there's a code of ethics that comes with that, and I just don't see it being put into practice in the same way today.
Horrible.
But that is another story altogether.
It sure is.
And Rick, I think that's the thing that really bothered me the most about it. I understood the law, and I'll give you that it's a complicated piece of legislation, but certainly once it's broken down point by point, it's really easy to digest. Mm-hmm. I think the thing that bothered me about it was I understood it, and I knew that what I was seeing wasn't correct. It didn't work the way they were saying it worked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably the story from start to finish. Is there any aspect of this that you think we might be missing at this point, or have we covered
I'd like
all
to
of the
just
points?
say a little something.
Yeah.
just about the 24 years I've been in business. It's been a wonderful relationship that I've had with Aamjiwnaang First Nation and chiefs and the different councils, and it's just been a whole wonderful life in that community and serving that community. And I'm really sorry that this has happened now. I wish that they would have called me in before chief and council and said, hey kid, listen, you're ruffling a lot of feathers and you're making our life difficult or something, and try to work it out with me, instead of after 24 years just serving me but with a stranger with a letter stating that I'm not going to have my lease in another 3 months. It was kind of cruel, but I just wish as a community. Go ahead, Matt.
Oh, not sure what happened there.
Oh, I
Okay.
don't know. I thought
we
somebody
lost
was
your- we
saying
lost your
something.
camera for a moment, but yeah, just continue, Sherry.
So I wish it had turned out differently, because I really don't even like these hard feelings. They were really supportive in the beginning when we were locked down and with rent forgiveness, and they were really terrific. But honestly, none of us are going to have businesses if this process keeps moving forward, and freedom just trumped it all. And I would hate for them to think that I was ungrateful, that because they have been supportive, but it's just the freedom aspect. And I didn't like that there was no caution taken in the community either with the vaccination. And when you're the first people that are chosen, I kind of a red flag right away to me. And I don't know, I've been pretty loud from the very beginning about all of this, and I've been treated like a tinfoil hat and a crazy lady, and
Yep.
and now it's all coming trickling out. So we'll just sit and wait.
Well,
Mhm.
any final thoughts, Matt?
I think the best is yet to come at this point. When we experience sadness, when we're in process as people, we're always looking forward to when we get there. For Sherry, well, today is the day she got there, right? I have been waiting to go after the people who I believe were being unlawful to her or treating her in a manner that violated her human rights for almost 2 years. I'm happy as a clam today. I don't like people that bully. Sherry, don't get mad at me. Little old ladies.
Yeah.
Just,
I'm a nice person too. I don't like all the bullying I've got. People, like, I've got I haven't even been wearing my leaky tank coat in public because I'm afraid to right now. You either love me or you hate me in this city. And I just haven't really been feeling the love, and it's just because, and people don't know me, and that's what really bothers me. People are judging me and they know absolutely nothing about me, and that I find that a little bit disturbing, because I think if they knew who I was and the character I've showed in my life, I think they would have a different opinion of me. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
I think that's important, Rick, because agree with Sherry or not, like her or not, don't like the wonderful omelet I had for breakfast this morning or not. What's today say? Well, today says no reasonable prospect of success, not in the interest of justice. So all of that, the 2 years, the articles in the National Post, the Observer, the international articles, hating on somebody were for what reason?
Yeah.
No reasonable prospect of success means exactly what it says it means. Lover or hater, it appears to me that from a legal standpoint, she was not wrong. If she was wrong, they would have kept going.
Yeah.
Clearly.
We
Yes.
had one little local paper paint a picture of me like all the health people that I chased out of there, like they needed trauma counseling or something. They painted me out to be a terrorist. They really, really hurt my reputation. Oh, and actually Aamjiwnaang putting that letter against me, oh my God, the attacks that just come out, because you got people who have no clue what's going on in the world that, oh, if chief and council said that what she said is horrible, well, it must be horrible then, right? So I had, oh my God, they come out of the woodworking at that point. So I just hope people see that I only cared about them. I was only trying to get the truth out there because that truth will set us free. It's about the only thing it will. But they can't say I didn't try. I had companies canceling accounts after that. It was crazy. And it never recovered. It just never recovered after that. They got their, I gave them that in that they were looking for to take me down. And that was it.
And
But
to
it
me,
is what it is. It was a beautiful place. We're probably going to shut her down the end of March and turn in the keys by April 30th. And the tank will be a memory at that point. Yeah.
Well, that makes today's victory bittersweet indeed.
It does, because it's a beautiful place. My grandchildren are going to miss it. We have birthdays. We have so many functions there. And Santa, actually, this Santa that we have, I think he might be getting picked up by Coca-Cola. He's good. And he wanted to have Christmas in the Bahamas there. Christmas in July with
Oh, yeah.
swim shorts and everything on. We were going to do that this year, but that's not going to happen. So it's what it is. Sometimes I think maybe right now the Lord's protected me because I think that industry is going to go through some really hard times. It's getting hard to survive at this point now. My son's young enough to do it, but I'm not young enough. I'm not healthy and strong enough to do it without staff like a young man could. But we'll see what they do with the place. I don't think it's got a tough act to follow. I know that because we built a pretty great business there. They should be proud of it instead of shutting me down.
And I see Janice is asking why shut down. You mentioned they're not going to renew your lease, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
They told me the week before Christmas, just days before we were going for our Christmas break. They let me know, hand delivered by a stranger. And that's just crappy. I got a lot of family in the community and I've been a part of the community, and I don't know. I think I just deserve something a little more personal, and I'm sure I feel bad for them because I know every municipality, every little town, village, they've all been harassed by the feds and the provincial government. I understand that they've been whipping everybody into this tyrannical order that they want, and it breaks my heart that they don't have the courage to stand up against this. Like, man, if I had been chief when this went down, I would have called a meeting across Canada from every First Nations because they had the power to fight this and they could have done a lot for this country, but yet they're letting it be stolen a second time. I just can't get over the complacency of people. It's just blowing my mind. And I really hope that we really truly wake up as a humanity and start living in the truth and shine our light on this darkness and let it scurry away from us because we're in big trouble.
Do you agree with that, Matt?
yeah, and I want to expound on something she said earlier. The lover or hater thing. Well, that seemed to be the point to me. The way we've done things in the last few years since the pandemic, it seems to be designed so that we fight one another. It seems to be designed so that we find an enemy and we all turn and focus our culture on the elimination of that enemy's thought pattern because they're not good enough to think with us. The cancel culture type thing.
Yeah.
I think that's most evident with Sherry's issue. I think that's part of what's bothered me the most about it. Is all these people who never met her deciding she was a bad person. Sherry's delightful. Before it closes, go down and have a coffee with you, or if you don't know her. She'd come right out of the kitchen to say hi. Delicious food, a wonderful environment, very family orientated. It's just, you're right, it is a bit bittersweet. It's a bit heartbreaking, but I think Sherry's day is yet to come.
And what are you going to do when you shut the restaurant down, Sherry? What
I don't know. I'm gonna rest for a few weeks. I know that. I'm exhausted. COVID just wiped my butt. I tell you, it just dragged me along for probably miles on a dirt road. Lost all my staff. Like, we had a nice groove going on. I had the nicest staff, had them for quite a while, and then boom, all the free money come. Well, the fear first. Everybody was afraid of catching it. That was first, and then they just ended up staying on the serve for quite a while, and then they ended up going their own way, and it really, really changed the dynamics of things, and it made it harder too. It just made, you got inflation, everything now. I'm just having to work so much just to pay the bills at the end of the month with expenses the way they are right now.
Yes.
So I'm going to have a big holiday. I'm going to have a rest, and then I'll have to find another. I have to work. I'm going to have to still work a few more years. So I'll have to look around and see what I'm going to figure out, see what the big guy's got planned for me next. He led me to that place, and he will let me know what he wants of me next, I suppose. But I'm going to sleep like a bear for a little bit, I think. Just hibernate for a while.
That sounds like a plan.
Yeah. Try to get strong.
Well, guys, I'll just throw it first over to you, Matt, again for a wrap-up comment, and then from Sherry.
Thank the Lord for Sherry Stewart, and thank the Lord that we got some justice.
Yeah. And Sherry, thank you. You're clearly an inspiration to a lot of people. I can see it in the chat room here tonight, and I know that you've been a prominent figure in the freedom community for a long time. Since you first got all that attention, and not just local but international media.
Yeah. Well, just know it did not go to my head. I honestly, part of me sees it, but a big part of me don't see it. This one girl at work, Val, was like, "Don't you see it? Don't you see you inspire people?" But I'm just being me, right? This is just me. This is my grandchildren. If I didn't have these 4 grandchildren in my life, I don't know that I would be fighting like this, because I've put my parents in the ground. I've done things most 70-year-olds have done. So I've lived a life, but they changed. It's a game changer. They deserve what we had. And if we don't band together and stand and make this right, my goodness, it's a slippery slope, and we got to start climbing uphill again. We got to get some good government in there, people with morals, and get these foreign influencers out of our national lifestyle here. The world needs nationalities, not one globe of humanity. I like how the Dutch people had windmills and Canadians are hockey. I love all the differences of our countries, and I think we just need to start letting each other live and quit fighting amongst the world too. Like, we don't need war. The people don't want wars. It's all these warmongering people who make money off the wars. So I don't know what we got, about maybe 3 cruise ships full of crazies bringing 8 billion people to their knees. Like, what is wrong with this picture? We got to know our power, and we got to figure it out pretty soon. And I think people should really be praying a lot too. It doesn't matter where you are. If you hook up with somebody, say, hey, let's just pray for our world, right? The more light we got going out there, the better. So yeah, we got to stand on guard for thee. We quit standing on guard for thee. And that's got to be a full-time job if we want to keep things right from generation to generation, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just me out there just ticking everybody off.
They decided to squeeze people, and they squeezed so hard it hurt and woke some people up. So
yeah,
now they have a whole new problem.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Matt, right. Sherry. Thank you both. Yeah. And Godspeed as you take on the government in the weeks, months, and maybe years ahead.
God, okay. Thank you.
Thank you for everything you've done. You guys have a great night.
Take care. You too. Bye.
Bye. And there you have the Leaky Tank story. Huge win today. Huge win for freedom in Sarnia, Ontario, Canada. Do not go away. There's more right after this.
Hello, world. Are you awake? Uniting humankind by liberating millions of minds at a time. Maverick News. The world is watching.
The New World Order. Government overreach. The Great Reset. Mainstream media lies. Now more than ever, independent voices are needed. Donate now, at freedomreporters.com. That's freedomreporters.com. Maverick News. The antivirus program. For your mind.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
So we're going to go out to Alberta for a moment, where the provincial government has come forward with a balanced budget. How about that? I need a moment to get this thing queued up. We're going to go to the finance minister out there. Don't go away. More right ahead. Just give me a moment.
Fighting the Great Reset. By leading the Great Resistance. Maverick News. The antivirus programs for your mind.
Okay, let's get this queued up. Here we go. Balanced budget in Alberta. Oil money.
President of Treasury Board and the Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I now wish to table the government's 2023 to 26 fiscal plan and move government motion 21. Be it resolved that the Assembly approve in general the business plans and fiscal policies of the government.
Come on, don't freeze up. Little glitching there. And this is important because there is an election just around the corner, a big one in Alberta.
Mr. Speaker, I count it a tremendous honor.
Sorry, a little glitching in the live stream.
Today to rise in the House and present Budget 2023, the fifth I presented on behalf of Albertans. In the fall of 2019, I put forward a four-year plan to bring the province back to fiscal responsibility and a balanced budget. In some respects, these past 4 years have felt like a century, in part due to the extraordinary global challenges we faced, but also because of how far we've come. When as a government we took office in 2019, Alberta had an economy that was flatlined, and we were spending $10 billion more than comparable provinces on
Internet. Come on.
Services without better outcomes. Our plan to strengthen Alberta's economic foundation was twofold. First, to bring discipline to Alberta's spending. We could no longer afford to be the spending outlier among Canadian provinces. And then we were determined to position our province for competitiveness, leading to exceptional investment attraction, economic growth, diversification, and job creation, thereby ensuring an increase in fiscal capacity and provincial revenues. These goals were, to put it mildly, ambitious. To achieve them, we committed to 3 fiscal anchors that informed our decision-making. The first anchor was a commitment to keep Alberta's net debt to GDP ratio below 30%. This would ensure that debt and debt repayment would not strangle our economic growth. Second, it was imperative that we would get our spending in line with comparative provinces. And third, when there was economic clarity, to chart a path to a balanced budget. As we implemented our ambitious economic recovery plan, the impact on Albertans was almost immediate. Our red tape reduction initiative has saved Albertans $2.1 billion. We established the Alberta Indigenous Opportunities Corporation with $1 billion of capital so Indigenous communities can be full partners in the Alberta Advantage. Our government invested in strategic infrastructure projects that were essential for future growth while getting Albertans back to work at a time they needed it most. And by July 2020, we had cut Alberta's corporate tax rate from 12 to 8%. We recapitalized the Alberta Enterprise Corporation, adding $175 million to support investment into Alberta startups. And we established Invest Alberta to sell the province's incredible value proposition to the world. And then, on February 23rd, 2022, I was able to stand in this House and present Alberta's first balanced budget in a decade. And that brings us to today. Today is Alberta's leading the nation in economic growth. Today, with a rapidly diversifying economy, there are career opportunities that didn't even exist a few years ago. Today, Albertans pay $20 billion less in taxes than they would if they lived in the next lowest tax province. Yeah. Today, after some very difficult years, the opportunities for small businesses and entrepreneurs are exploding. And today, I again present a balanced budget. This means debt is on the decline. In this last fiscal year, Mr. Speaker, we paid off over $13 billion of debt, all of the debt that matured in 2022. This means lower debt service costs and more resources available for health, education, and other programs. It means more available fiscal room and thereby more runway and capacity should we experience another economic shock. Mr. Speaker, we are by far and way below our net debt to GDP ratio ceiling of 3%. Today, Alberta's at 10%, the lowest in all of Canada by a shot. And because of our balance sheet, Alberta has received its second upgrade of the year. Remarkable. We said that our last credit rating increase was back in 2001. Investment traction is essential to Alberta's strong economic growth and job numbers. In my business experience, a government will either help or hinder progress. Get it in the way or get it out of the way. It's an attitude, Mr. Speaker, and it matters to investors. 4 years ago, we put out the Open for Business sign, and we followed it up with real actions, Mr. Speaker, not just words. We've reduced business taxes, cut red tape, and have created one of the most business-friendly environments on the continent. And the results speak for themselves.
Sorry about the glitching. That's not us. That's the the live stream feed.
In a year when venture capital investment dropped in Ontario, Quebec, and BC, we in Alberta, at $729 million, set another record. Businesses across sectors. Businesses across sectors and across the province are creating thousands of new jobs while diversifying Alberta's economy. Just days ago, Plexus Technologies announced they were moving their Canadian headquarters to Calgary, creating 125 tech jobs. Southland Trailer Corp in Lethbridge will double its production, creating 250 jobs. De Havilland is moving its head office to Alberta.
Come on.
Instead of subsidize Quebec, I might add. And it's building an aerospace center and manufacturing plant employing 1,500 people, and that's just the start. CGC Development is building a $210 million wallboard manufacturing plant in Wheatland County. Garmin Canada has announced expansion plans for their Cochrane head office that will double their workforce in 2 years. We have Imperial Oil investing $720 million in the Heartland for a biodiesel refinery. Drilling activity in the oil and gas sector ramped up to an 8-year high last year, and investment is expected to grow by a further 19% in 2023. IBM is opening its Client Innovation Center for Western Canada in Calgary. SideTrade is investing $24 million to make Calgary its North American headquarters. Air Products is building a net zero hydrogen complex right here in the heartland. Amazon, Walmart, Canadian Pacific, Dow, Infosys, Emphasis, HBO, Northern Petrochemical, RBC, CN Rail.
You're getting the idea. This is a United Conservative Party government under Danielle Smith. They're heading into an election. I think we are now less than 3 months away from having the public go to the polls in Alberta. And you may not live in Alberta. You may not think it matters, but it matters. It's a big, big deal because of the nature of the political climate right now, because of what Danielle Smith stands for, because of the Sovereignty Act, because of her political persuasion, and not just the party, but the political ideology. She has shifted the party more, if you want to use the idea of the left-right spectrum, more to the conservative side, for sure. And what happens in Alberta, I think, will definitely have an impact across the country. I know from speaking to conservative-minded people out there, there is real fear, extreme fear out there among people who cherish freedom and who have conservative values, that if Rachel Notley and the NDP get reelected, that Alberta will be, well, in their view, destroyed. They see a vote for Rachel Notley as being a vote for Justin Trudeau. So what happens out there will have an impact across the country, because we've already seen other provinces, other premiers reposition themselves in terms of, or vis-a-vis, their view of the provincial federal government relationship, which is supposed to be equal under the terms of the Constitution in Canada. They've repositioned themselves in a way that allows them to assert more of their sovereignty against the federal government. So she is a trendsetter. She is absolutely a leader. We'll see how much that translates into public support when they go to the polls out in Alberta. When we come back, a couple of stories still ahead that one is to get caught up because there was a big tornado in Norman, Oklahoma, and that is actually around the area where Lori has been living. So we're going to catch up with that. She's been sharing some information with me over the last couple of days, and I'm sorry I wasn't here last night. I was getting ready for the broadcast, about 2 hours in advance, and all the power went out because we had another freezing rainstorm. Second one in just over a week. And this one coated some trees in the area with ice. The branches got really heavy. They came down on top of some power lines, and half the city ended up in darkness. So there was no way I could get to air last night, not effectively. So I was forced to take a little bit of a break. And I have to tell you, I didn't really mind because it was great to get my head out of the metaverse. I actually went out to dinner with my wife, which was awesome because on the other side of town, there was still power. It was on one side of the street, there was none. And on the other side of one of the main streets, there was power. So we got to go to a restaurant, and there were actual human beings in there, and they had their heads out of the internet. And we were actually able to talk like regular human beings for a little while and not live inside the metaverse. It was like almost like normal because the power went out. Plus, it makes you appreciate what you have just a little bit more when you're deprived. Don't go away. More coming up right after this.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
The New World Order. Government overreach. The Great Reset. Mainstream media lies. Now more than ever, independent voices are needed. Donate now at freedomreporters.com. That's freedomreporters.com. Maverick News. The antivirus program for your mind.
So as I say, a big tornado through Norman, Oklahoma. Gonna run this local report. Now this is not right up to date, but I wanted to rewind because I wasn't here yesterday and run something from a little bit older to give you a sense of what's been going on down there and the extent of the damage as people began to see it emerging from their homes in the morning after the tornado struck.
Powerful and damaging storms sweeping across the country. Overnight, several tornadoes ripped through parts of the southern plains. Officials there say more than a dozen people are hurt.
Forecasters in North Texas report that wind gusts hit more than 110 miles an hour. That's equivalent to a Category 3 hurricane. This is the scene today in central Oklahoma. The storm tearing apart homes and businesses and flipping over cars. As of this hour, nearly 50,000 customers across the region are without power.
Our team is covering it from all angles. NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns is tracking the storms for us. But first, we head to NBC News correspondent Morgan Chesky in hard-hit Norman, Oklahoma. Morgan, it's good to have you. We are just starting to see the extent of the damage from these powerful tornadoes. Give us a sense of what you are seeing and hearing there from folks on the ground.
Yeah, Joe, Vicky, really is a heartbreaking scene, particularly across the southern portion of the Norman community. This storm struck under cover of nightfall, and now that the sun's up, This is what too many folks are having to face. Just damage stretching in almost every direction where this storm hit. I'm standing in front of the remnants of what was a horse riding arena that has been completely flattened, pushed down, and just pieces strewn across this entire property. If you're looking for the roof, look up here in the tree, wrapped around those branches. It is hard to believe just the speed at which this storm struck last night. The owner was huddled inside a bathtub not too far away from where I'm standing. The roof of her horse barn ripped off. Remarkably, all the horses doing okay today. But you can imagine the shock that this had when she walked out and saw so much destruction here. Unfortunately, that's all too familiar across the southern portion of Norman. We do know, as you mentioned, a dozen people were injured. None of those injuries believed to be life-threatening, and no loss of life reported at this time. But more than 10,000 Oklahomans remain without power at this hour, and this is all the result of a storm that they did hear warnings about, but it struck so quick. Tornado sirens went off, and then a few minutes later, it roared through this area, leaving so many people picking up the pieces today. And guys, it's cars flipped over, as you mentioned, roofs ripped right off. So the property damage going to be relatively extensive here across portions of Oklahoma and parts of North Texas.
And Morgan, the cleanup just getting underway. What kind of help are these communities getting right now?
Well, fortunately, we have a beautiful day, so we have seen recovery crews out and about since very early this morning. We know that line crews are trying to get power restored to those thousands of people that are still in the dark. But I got to tell you, having lived in Oklahoma for a few years, I am always surprised at how quickly people are clearing roads. We have a gentleman with chainsaws over here that are trying to make some of the areas debris free so they can clear out some of the horses here and get them to a place where they can be safe for the next few weeks and months while they try to recover from this. Guys,
building process will take a while. Norman Chesky in Oklahoma, thank you.
And the most recent information that I have from Norman, Oklahoma is that one person was killed, 15 injured. Lori did message. She says that it could be a week before power is restored to that area of Oklahoma. So we'll keep our eyes on everything going on down there. On another matter, on the story about the aid going to Ohio, we were going to have Shay Eagle and some of her team members on the program again last night to bring people up to date on what their how things are progressing with their plan to take a truckload of aid to East Palestine, Ohio, where the train derailment has resulted in that massive contamination of polyvinyl chloride. Those plans are still ongoing. Of course, we didn't have the broadcast last night, so she wasn't on, but they are actually making, I did speak to her today. They are making real progress in getting things organized. They're setting up a proper nonprofit organization with a board to oversee the collection and distribution of any donations that come in. They are very close to getting a truck apparently set up to arrange to fill that truck and then take it to Ohio. So they're making real progress. And I think by next Monday or so, we should be able to get Shay and maybe some other team members on here to bring us up to date on how all that is going. So fear not, the folks there are working hard and making real progress. So that is very encouraging. And they are reaching out across political lines, ideological lines, even bringing enemies together to join in a common cause to take aid to East Palestine, Ohio. Don't go away. More ahead.
Fighting the Great Reset. By leading the Great Resistance. Maverick News. The antivirus programs for your mind. Fear not the storm, for truth is on our side. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, now this is sort of a local story, and we don't cover a lot of local news, but I think this story has the potential to go at least national, maybe even international, especially given its location in Windsor, Ontario. And Leo, mouth of the South, was the man without a plan who just happened upon the scene again today and was there to find out and get all the details on a story involving what appears to be a shooting in Windsor. And yeah, he had the details before any of the mainstream media. He knows a lot more even than we're even going to reveal here tonight, just because we don't want to do anything irresponsible by releasing information that maybe doesn't serve the public interest. However, what we do know is that there is a suspect wanted after gunfire at a Windsor home. Windsor police are looking for a man who allegedly fired a weapon. Investigators got the call over the weekend about a 24-year-old man seen on social media pointing a gun at a camera. So it turns out that days before, the man fired a single shot at a home in the area of Tecumseh Road East and Robinette Road. So police say that no one was hurt in that incident, but it was not reported right away to the police. So the suspect that they're looking for, the man, is David Ivan Tremblay. He's wanted for possession of a firearm without a license, possession while prohibited, discharging a firearm in an enclosed space, careless use of a weapon, possession of a loaded firearm, mischief under $5,000, and failure to comply with a release order. Police say he is considered armed and dangerous and should not be directly approached. If you see him or know his whereabouts, call 911. Let me see if I can get you his picture. Here we are, right here. So this is from a Windsor police media release. That's Mr. Tremblay. Now, this morning, I woke up and Leo, mouth of the South, the man without a plan, I wouldn't believe that. He seems to always just be in the right place at the right time. He's just got, he's a real news guy. He really is, whether he realizes it or not. He's out there, getting the scoop. First on the scene and serving the public. Here's the video that Leo posted this morning. So again, rewinding a bit, but this gives you a sense of the immediacy you get when you tune into the mouth of the South. He's the man without a plan who just gets the job done.
Good afternoon. You got the mouth of the South, the man without a plan, the master of all disasters. That's what they say anyways. Let some people jump on here. Turn that down so I don't get violated. Now, there's a lot of things I find out before mainstream media does for some reason. Right, I got a call today as I was waking up that there is a body found down at the riverfront. I know the make of the car. I could tell you the guy's jacket. Okay, I could give you the guy's approximate age. I can't give you the name. I don't know the name. Okay, I don't know the whys. Okay, but it just happened. And a friend of mine came across it, and he called me right away. I said, call the police, not me, right? You didn't put the body there, so you got nothing to hide. And that's the thing. A lot of people are afraid, okay, when they see stuff like this. And the reason I'm doing the video is because my inbox is getting filled up with a lot of people asking questions, this and that, right? It's sad. The city's going to a shithole. Okay, in just 48 hours, I covered the home invasion at 4 o'clock in the morning on Charles Street. And I was there before the ambulances were. Wild. Okay, so I was on my way to work, and I was a little bit late for work that morning. I was started at 4:45, or 4:30. I didn't get here till 4:45, right? So it is what it is. You know, the people, I guess, trusted me anyways. I'll give you the facts. I'll give you the news as I see it, right? And I see all kinds of crazy shit at 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning. Okay, just on my way home. The city's gone to shits. Okay, now obviously this is the things, people are attracted to things that will destroy them, right, in the end. And you know, when you got a home invasion, you see cops and people spring to action. You don't know if the perpetrators are even still in the neighborhood. Well, they were still in the neighborhood when the police were chasing them with the dogs and stuff, trying to get the scent of the perpetrators, right? And I was right there in the neck of it anyways, right? So you got to be careful on what you do, right, and how you do it. But I'm just reporting it anyways, the way that I see it, the way that I hear it. And when the first guy on the scene calls me, before mainstream media or any of them get the scoop, you're getting it here first, right? So it's sad what's going on. I do believe that none of this is random. Okay, it's all targeted. So probably I'm going to speculate it could be the dope scene, could be whatever, right, along those lines. Nothing happens to anybody for no reason. I'd say 99% of the time, the public's safe. You have nothing to worry about. Unless you're in the shit, you're doing shit, then you have something to worry about, right? That's the way it always has been, right? But I catch a lot of things. Via Facebook Live, right? So it is what it is. I don't think the public needs to worry about any of it unless you're in the deep of it, right? Yeah, never fear. Leo is here. Dylan Facetti's from Ottawa. I have no fears at 52. I never had any fears at 21. Never had any fears. I was invincible at 15, right? Anybody that knows me knows I'll head into a burning house and save a family if I had to, right? That's just me. Some people got the, what would we say, fight or flight. Well, I'm the type of guy that fights. Always has, always will. I'm a fighter. So that's the way it is. So if you're down in the area of Riverside Drive, I believe the police will be there for a while. Some people are saying if it's suicide or not. Well, I'm not a forensics, so I wasn't down there, but I heard that there was glass, so maybe the bullet came from outside the car, right? But the guy was shot in the head. You're not going to get any of that. That's all I know. I don't know the guys. Like I said, I know what I do know, and what I don't know is I don't know who the guy is. I can tell you approximately the age bracket, the skin color, the jacket he was wearing, and the car he was driving, the car he was in, right? So, Megs, you're on vacation. I know you hear all this crazy shit on here, but it's weird how I'm always damn near close, right, to the action. Action Jackson. Like I said, I work crazy hours, so things happen, crazy things happen during those hours, right? They always have 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, right? I'm on the road. So as I see it, I'm going to film it, plain and simple. Now, I'll never film a crime in progress. That ain't my gig. But I'll film it the aftermath. That's the way it is. Yeah, you don't need to be that close to it to get the scoop, right? So I don't know what's going on in the city, but it is falling apart. It's falling apart fast. When you got the drugs and everything else, you got the crystal methamphetamine and the fentanyl that are taking over. You see it downtown Windsor. It's not safe. And anybody that tells you it is safe, good luck with that one, right? I feel safe wherever I'm at. That's a scary thing about it. But like I said, it's all targeted shit. The general public has nothing to worry about. You know, I lived in Vancouver, 2008. There was 40 shootings in 1 month in the town of Abbotsford, the next town over I was living at. Yeah, there was 32 murders in 1 month in the town of Abbotsford, which is a quarter of the size of Windsor, right? And it is what it is. You have nothing to worry about, folks, when it's targeted, right? But still, bullets are not discriminate. You see it in Toronto many a times. You see it all over Canada. People just start firing, and you could be an innocent bystander just walking down the street. I think her name was Jane Shariba, Christmas Eve 2007, I think it was, around that time anyways. Girl out shopping Christmas Eve, and shooting happened on Yonge Street, and she got caught in the hail of bullets and died, right? So that happens. So with all that being said, I have to get to work. Got to earn my living somehow. The news ain't paying, that's for sure. As somebody said, oh, you should be the news. It's not. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it at all. I'll give you the news as I see it. But to get paid for it, no, not this cat. Couldn't do it. I'm too truthful. Like I said, you already got a lot of the facts that you're not even going to see in the paper till probably 3 days from now. So it is what it is. Thanks, guys, for watching.
I just looked up the stats. Windsor has about 5 homicides per year. In 2020, they had 3. It's the 16th most populated city in Canada. I lived there, worked that city as a journalist for 10 years. Covered a lot of murders in that time. The reason I'm taking note of this one is because since that initial report this afternoon, Leo has uncovered more information, most of which is not public tonight. But from what he has told me, I think this story will take on greater significance, maybe even by tomorrow. So we'll keep an eye on that one, and Leo has his ear to the ground, and I'm sure he'll be sharing more information over on his social media channels and hopefully over here with us too. And, when it's the right opportunity for him, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, maybe whenever he feels it's appropriate, he'll come forward and maybe share some of what he knows with us here on this channel too, and bring us up to date. But good work, Leo. Again, in very short order, the home invasion, and then now this breaking news from the mouth of the South. Yeah. And I have to say that actually the murder rate in Windsor is lower today than it was back when I was working that city as a beat reporter and covering a lot of crime. Because back in those days, as I recall, they at it for a time got up around, when I was working there, almost 1 murder a month. I think I was covering almost 1 a month for a while. I don't think it got quite to 12 in the year, but it was pretty close. And I just don't know. It got to the point where Well, you could, like you could almost sense it. Plus, I had a lot of contacts on the street, which Leo does now. So he's kind of filling the role of a breaking news reporter that the mainstream media is not to the same degree that he is. He's a real citizen journalist, and my hat goes off to him because great work getting the information on the ground. Leo, mouth of the South. Don't go away. More ahead.
Hello, world. Are you awake? Uniting humankind by liberating millions of minds at a time. Maverick News. The world is watching.
The New World Order. Government overreach. The Great Reset. Mainstream media lies. Now more than ever, independent voices are needed. Donate now at freedomreporters.com. That's freedomreporters.com. Maverick News. The antivirus program for your mind.
Okay, I think what we'll do is we'll fire up the phones and let you guys join in on the conversation. So, first thing I'll do is run the phone number so you know the number to call. Here we go.
Join the conversation. Call 1-833-975-3733. That's 1-833-975-FREE. Speak up. Speak out. Make your voice heard. Maverick News. Fighting for freedom by defending your right to free speech. Be a Maverick. Join us.
Okay, we're ready to rock and roll with the phones. So here we go. We'll bring up the window. There it is. And we're right there. And we are ready to take our first call of the night. And it looks like they hung up, or maybe, I don't know. Are you there?
I'm here.
We are ready. A little bit of a delay there. You might want to turn the audio down on your computer or whatever you're watching.
Oh, on my. Okay.
Maybe, I don't know. That's probably better.
Is this you, Rick?
This is me.
Oh my God, I'm so fucking thrilled. I don't even want to be on the air. I'm just glad I'm talking to you, Rick.
Okay, well, don't get too thrilled. We're more thrilled to have you joining us. So go ahead and just tell us what's on your mind.
Okay, what's on my mind? That's on my mind.
Sorry, what's on your mind?
Billions of dollars just be given away of our tax dollars.
Okay. Well, appreciate the call very much. Anything?
Is that a good topic?
Well, we can talk about taxes if that's what you're calling about.
Dude, I pay my taxes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, when we give like all our money away for no reason,
Mm-hmm.
why would we do that?
Still have a delay there. Maybe
I
that's
can't believe I'm on your show.
well. I'm
No, but let's get on a better subject anyway, Rick.
sure.
What else good do you want to talk about?
Well, we talked about what happened with the Leaky Tank tonight. You know, the restaurant there that had its charges dismissed. We could talk about that. We can talk about the economy because we saw the budget coming out of Alberta that was balanced. The election happening there. We saw the tornado in Oklahoma. We've got the aid rolling toward East Palestine.
Tornado in Oklahoma? You mean the fucking burning train?
Well, that's in Ohio.
In Oklahoma? Or Ohio? That's what I meant.
Ohio, yeah.
My brain's going like it's like crimping.
No problem. Well, I'll tell you what. I think what we'll do is we'll move on. I'm glad that you called in tonight. It's been a pleasure to speak with you.
I'm glad I got to talk to you, Rick.
Yeah,
I love you, man.
Been my pleasure. My pleasure. We
can talk about anything else that you want to.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
You want to talk about food?
Well,
or cows?
Cows?
Corn? Yeah, cows.
What
corn?
Cows or corn?
Farms?
Farms? Well, I'll tell you what, you gather your thoughts and you call back another night and we'll have a more in-depth conversation when you're a little bit when you've got your thoughts a little more organized.
Farmers.
Okay? Thank you very much for calling in tonight.
Yeah,
and I appreciate that very much. Lots of things we can talk about tonight. It's usually a good idea to kind of get focused and figure out what it is you want to say as you're calling in. So the number to call to join the conversation tonight is 1-833-975-3733. That's 1-833-975-FREE. And you can join the conversation. So let's just get things a little more organized here. I'm going to run that promo again, so you guys know what number to phone to join. Join the discourse.
Join the conversation. Call 1-833-975-3733. That's 1-833-975-FREE. Speak up. Speak out. Make your voice heard. Maverick News. Fighting for freedom by defending your right to free speech. Be a Maverick. Join us.
Hang on a second.
We are Mavericks. We say no to the Trudeau and Biden New World Order. And to bugs. Because bugs are creepy and gross. And people should not eat bugs. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Hey, no! To bugs!
So there was another story too tonight that I wanted to touch on. I just noticed this today, that there was a group that was aimed to punish promoters of the COVID lab leak theory. So there was a State Department supported disinformation tracking group. And this story coming from Newsmax, that was pressuring advertisers to punish websites promoting the COVID-19 lab leak theory. So this goes back. But of course, everything has changed since then. And now there's a federal agency that says the lab leak is the most likely origin of the virus. And that is coming from the Washington Examiner. So the Global Disinformation Index, which was focused on creating blacklists of conservative news outlets for advertising companies, applied pressure to those companies to cut ties with websites boosting the once alleged conspiracy, in quotation marks, that the COVID-19 virus emerged from a lab in Wuhan. The Energy Department recently concluded that based on intelligence, the lab leak was the probable cause. GDI is a part of a disturbing constellation of pop-up censorship organizations that all descended on stifling COVID origins discourse online simultaneous, according to Mike Benz, director of Censorship Watchdog Foundation for Freedom Online. And so this story, originally coming from the Washington Examiner, being distributed by other outlets, including Newsmax. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that the Energy Department now says the new intelligence shows the COVID-19 pandemic most likely has been caused by a Wuhan, China lab leak, something long believed by many Americans and Canadians, people around the world, really. But in the early days of the pandemic, it was considered to be a conspiracy theory, even by U.S. public health leaders, including Dr. Fauci. The FBI was the first federal agency to determine with moderate confidence that the most likely origin of COVID-19 was through a leak at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. And there remain 6 other agencies, including a national intelligence panel, still reluctant to back the lab leak origin. 4 continue to believe it was natural in origin, and 2 others, including the CIA, are undecided, according to the report. So GDI, which compiles a dynamic exclusion list intended for advertisers to target conservative websites such as Newsmax and the Examiner, has published several reports on alleged COVID-19 disinformation. So you see where this has gone, and how things have changed, and how this was really being perpetuated by government, which in my estimation is extremely dangerous. Extremely dangerous. How do you get back to truth when the government is supporting information that is not correct? And that's where we were at the beginning of the pandemic. We're fortunate that we're anywhere near the truth at this point, I would say. Let's go back to the phones, and here's Mike. Hello, Mike. How are you tonight?
Hey, good yourself, Rick?
I am fine, sir.
I spoke with you like a week ago or so, eh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I got that Bitchute channel, WDL Northern Ontario.
I'm sorry. So many calls. I'm vaguely remembering, but
Okay, no problem. But anyways, I was calling tonight to talk about the lab leak.
Sure.
We had been saying that right from the start.
That's true.
I probably spent more time researching this whole pandemic than probably anybody else in Canada. I have hours and hours and hours of research in this.
Mm-hmm.
And at the beginning of this, I was trying to show 2 articles, one from the New England Journal of Medicine and one from the government of UK.
Okay.
The first one was called, it was by Anthony Fauci.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I can't think of the name of the article right now. But it said right in there the case fatality rate for COVID. So, and at the beginning, you heard Trump when they had the coronavirus task force. He did mention that twice they gave $3.7 million to the Wuhan laboratory from the United States.
True. Yeah.
And Fauci has his fingerprints all over this.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying right now to push for criminal charges for Fauci in Florida, eh?
Yes, and I'm seeing there's also an international tribunal that is has a whole list of people that they also want to bring charges upon, and we will likely.
Do you mean Reiner Fomick?
I don't want to speak really until I get my thoughts properly formulated.
Okay, because he's the Volkswagen lawyer. He's the one that did the Volkswagen case when Volkswagen cheated on their emissions.
Yeah.
And he represented, he prosecuted Deutsche Bank as well.
Yeah. So, I don't want to speak to it because I need to read, and I have not had the time because I've been doing so much other stuff today. So I don't want to misspeak on anything, especially anything.
There's a lot of positive things going on right now, though.
Yes, that's true.
And it's because of people like Christine Anderson that spoke out right from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
She was there right from the start. Canadians only picked up on her when she put Trudeau down.
That's true.
That's when she went viral.
Yep.
She was there right from the start speaking out against this. And I have to say Randy Hillier as well, MPP.
That's true.
Yeah. There's a lot of good people that have been speaking out right from the start.
And you're right, because from the beginning, I mean, Christine Anderson was never on my radar. The other night I said I really didn't know that much about her beyond what she, her moment of fame because of attacking Trudeau and getting that international attention. But other than that, I really didn't know much about her, which is why the other night I was reluctant to say much about her because I like a lot of people, I just don't know any really much more beyond that. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're learning more. We're learning more now.
I posted almost every one of her videos with the European Union, speaking out against all this COVID tyranny.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that's why I started the channel. It wasn't to get famous or anything. It's not monetized.
Mm-hmm.
It was just to get the word out because I was tired of screaming from my rooftop. I needed to get to more people,
Yeah, and those alternative video channels are great places to find other information that you can't find, here on platforms like this sometimes because we are on YouTube and Facebook. So we've been talking in code over here a lot, right? To kind of get around.
Exactly.
It's difficult.
Exactly. That's why I chose Bitchute when I started because I knew they weren't censored.
Yeah.
And I also have a YouTube channel, but once in a while I'll post a video on there that's pretty mild, like the convoy when I took part in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'll post that on my channel, and then I post a link to the Bitchute channel on the bottom.
Sure. And tell people again, what's the name of your channel?
It's called WDL, which stands for We Draw the Line. So it's WDL Northern Ontario.
Okay. So WDL Northern Ontario.
It's just about COVID and the Great Reset and everything else.
Okay.
Everything that has to do with what's happened in the last 3 years is on that channel.
Awesome.
Over 2,000 videos.
All right. Well, listen, sir, I appreciate everything you're doing. I appreciate the call very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. And
all right. Well, thank you very much. And it's nice talking to you again.
Yeah, and we'll do it again. We're going to move on to Dave next, though. And you have a great night, sir.
Absolutely. Sounds great. Nice talking to you, Rick. Take care, right?
See ya. Okay, here's
Bye-bye.
Dave. Hello, Dave. How are you tonight?
Is that you, Rick?
It is me, sir.
Wow, I can't even believe that I'm actually talking to you. No, come on. Is this for real? Tell me.
Yeah, okay.
The famous Rick Walker.
You're funny.
No, you are. You're amazing. I can't believe I'm actually talking to you in person.
Well, I'm glad you're happy.
I'm so impressed.
Okay, Dave. Okay. Okay. I get
All right, let's get beyond that.
Yeah.
That was funny though.
It was.
That was amazing. So getting back to your other guy there.
Yeah.
No, that was interesting. He was talking about that lady, Christine
Anderson. Yeah.
from Germany.
Yep.
You know, she inspired a lot of Canadians because they needed to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was saying what an asshole our prime minister was, and she came out and spoke out like that. And I mean, I don't care what party she's in or whatever, but that's what people. All she did was reinforce what we all thought, and she said, "Well, I was inspired by the truckers and the protests that went on in Canada, and it inspired her." But you know what? I've supported even beyond and before COVID. I supported Pierre Poilievre because he was against Trudeau from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And I thought, if you're against Trudeau, then you're on the same side I am. But then he seemed to attack her. Mm-hmm. Now I'm saying, hello, what's going on here? Why wouldn't you embrace her or say, yeah, well, you see what's going on? What it comes down to, and I'm going in to see my own MP. They're not going to be remembered for what they did. They're going to be remembered for what they didn't do. And we need people that are going to do things, not do things. She came here trying to inspire the Canadians. She thought Canadians are on the right page. She saw what was going on with all this bullshit and thought, we have hope. So she came here to support the Canadians. Why would Pierre Poilievre put her down? I don't understand that.
Why? You don't understand why?
She gave Maxime Bernier a hug, or she embraced a few conservatives.
You don't understand why he would do that?
Well, I know why he would, but I don't understand.
Because the conservatives have sort of a lot of progressives within the party. I would say there are a lot of liberals inside the Conservative Party, and he needs a lot of that liberal support in order to win the election, and not even just party members.
So it comes down to more politics.
It's politics, man. That's what it is. Yeah, and see, Christine Anderson is
controlled politics.
I don't know. I think it's just politics, and not very palatable politics. A lot of it's pretty distasteful, but that's the reality of it.
It's controlled. They're either on one side or they're on the other. And I don't like that. I thought it was about the cause. It was about, she stands for freedom, and she stands for what's going on in this world, how people are being displaced and put down. And we need somebody that's going to support the people.
Yeah.
And because she came here, I mean, I don't know much about her, but I know one thing. A lot of people were inspired by her speech about Trudeau, and I supported that 100%. I laughed. I loved it. Mm-hmm. You know, anytime somebody puts Trudeau down, I'm on their side. You could buy me over very easily. All you got to do is say Trudeau's an asshole, and I'm on your side.
What if I said Trudeau's the worst prime minister in Canadian history again? Would that make you feel?
Yeah, I love you, Rick. I'd love to give you a big hug. You know what I'm saying.
You can do it virtually.
Like, we all need support. We're all looking for the truth.
Yeah.
And when somebody inspires us, you know, you grab onto it. Pierre, he inspired me.
Yeah.
And so did the girl. And I don't want conflict between them. Like, Pierre should have just be quiet. Now I'm losing faith in what he's talking about because I know where she's coming from. She's talking on a world level, not a Canadian, on a world level. She's talking freedom for the people, and the people, that's what matters, right? That's a democracy. The people control it. They don't control us. They work for us. That's what I'm saying. Every day my wife says to me, that fucking Trudeau, I can't stand his voice, and I don't even want to see his face. It makes me sick to even look at him.
Yeah.
And so many Canadians feel that way. And then now he's standing up. Here's another subject. He's standing up saying, a lot of people are saying that China has been interfering with the elections. Well, we knew they did, but he's saying, well, we had a committee appointed, so you don't have to worry. We don't need to do an investigation because we appointed a committee a few years ago, and everything's good. Like, give me a break. Anyway, I can't believe I'm actually talking to you, Rick Walker.
Okay. And on that note.
All right. Love you, buddy.
All right. Thank you, Dave. You have a great night, man.
Take care, buddy.
Bye.
Bye.
Good call. Appreciate that from Dave. And let's go to Leo. Here he is. He couldn't stay away. He's back.
You got the mountain of salt, the man without a plan to master all disasters. D, I couldn't hold out anymore. Told you I wasn't ever calling this show again until you called, girl. She called my bluff, Rick.
Yes, I guess I did, didn't I? All I had to do was compliment you on a job well done out there, gathering information on these terrible situations that we've seen unfold in Windsor.
Well, you're right about a couple of things, Rick. I do know a lot of shit that's going on in this city because I used to be a shithead myself back in the day, right? So I know, okay, and a lot of people respect me because I'll never, ever, like I said, film a crime in commission. That's not my gig, okay? I am not going to court for anybody to testify on anybody whatsoever, okay? I just won't. There's a code of conduct, okay, amongst former criminals, if that's what you want to call me. That's what I call myself anyways, retired. Okay, we don't rat each other out ever, period. So, you know, I'm not going to do that. But there's a lot of things, okay, that are going on in the city. And it's funny that the police called me and told me to stop posting stuff on social media. It's going to compromise their investigation on this. Well, fuck, I already got the investigation solved if I wanted it to.
Okay? Yeah, yep.
That's how good I am.
Yep.
And with the power of social media, it's big, Rick. Okay, it's really big. And it's funny because the guy who called me, he called me first before he even called the police.
Yeah.
He says, yeah, there's a guy down here with a bullet. He could have given me the caliber of the bullet in the guy's head.
Yeah.
Okay, and I said, why are you calling me? Call the police, man. Unless you put the body there, and if you did, dump your phone, call me from a burner, right? Whatever the reason is, right? But he did call the police, and you know, they're all over it, right? But some of my best work you haven't seen yet. I'm going to send you a link of the day that I caught up with the notorious serial rapist, Den Smythe, who nearly killed a young girl, 19 years old, and left her for dead, right? I got that on video, the confrontation with me and him. I think the viewers are going to really like that because I can't stand rapists. I can't stand pedophiles. I can't stand people that victimize women. I'm going to get in your grill with my phone
And if you want to go in the back 40 and mix a mingle and pangle, I'll be your Huckleberry. That's a fact. If you look at the videos I did on the weekend of the new Canadian welterweight champion in my weight division, 147 pounds. Okay, and it was a good thing that I went there because there was a lot of people I haven't seen in years, Rick. Like my boxing coach from 30 years ago, who brought me to the Golden Gloves, and I won the Detroit Golden Gloves at Cobo Hall, right? So the UFC fighter, Kyle Propolak, okay, and there's also, I'm going to be doing a lot of interviews with these people in the near future, right? So, yeah, I'm not a reporter by any means, but I just want to give the truth to people as I see it, right? And I see a story, I'm pulling out my phone and I'm filming the shit.
Yeah,
that's my right, my legal right, and I'm going to do it.
So where was
do it the right way?
Where was the crime scene today?
It was at the big flags down at the riverfront.
Yep.
Not far from there. So it'd be Ferry Street where the old Windsor Star used to be if you were to cut a line right to the river right there.
Yeah.
So it's a bad spot if you're going to kill somebody because I'll tell you what, on top of the building in Detroit called the GM Center, we used to call it the Ren-Cen. Yeah, the Renaissance Center.
Yep.
There's cameras up there, and I know that because that's how they catch the drug smugglers along the way of the Detroit River. And those cameras could project all the way out to Amherstburg, 30 kilometers one way and 30 kilometers the other.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they got a good projection of Windsor from there too. So I'm sure the police will have that one solved.
And
Right,
see, and I'm sure that you have an appreciation for what police are up against when they're asking you to stop posting stuff on social media, because I know from my experience that they will withhold information because sometimes for reasons that don't even become apparent until they go to court, they need to keep information back in order to make sure that a proper arrest can be made, or so that they know that they get the right suspect. There are a lot of reasons why they do that, and they'll work with media to make sure
Let's say I
information
put a
is
name out
released
there.
at an appropriate time so that it doesn't compromise an investigation. And it's hard for the public to understand sometimes why they do that. But, you know, depending on the police service that I worked with, most of them were actually very good about things like that. And
but let's say that let's say that I know Rick Walker murdered somebody today.
Mhm.
Okay. And I put it out in social media. Rick Walker is the fucking guy who did it. Now, let's say it was my kid you killed, Rick Walker. I'm coming for your motherfucking ass because I heard it from the mouth of the South, and that guy is usually fucking right.
Mhm.
Right? So, you know, let's say I put a name out there and somebody else gets killed. Now, I might be liable. Right?
Yeah.
So you got to be careful on what you do. And the word slander, I know all about the word slander.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a cease and desist. I got a cease and desist order from some shithead lawyer about 10 months ago in the case of the serial rapist, saying if I keep going, they're going to sue me in court and this and that. And I was like, fuck you. You know, get in line. Okay, get in line. I'm already in court as it is, and everybody wants to sue me. So get in that line. It's a very long lineup, and there'll be nothing at the end of the day because guess what? He's a convicted rapist. He's in the paper, the DNA, all of it. It all added up. Okay, at the end of the day, I'm just speaking the truth. You can't put a muzzle on me, right? So take it to court. I'd love to fight it. Actually, I would. So whenever I see these creeps, I'm gonna fucking just plug them on my phone, buddy. You know, I don't need a weapon. I don't need a gun. I'm great with my hands still. And at the end of the day, my weapon is my phone. That's what scares a lot of people, right? When I pull out my phone, people go fucking running. It's like a billy club, right?
Yeah.
So I have no fear. Like I said, I have zero fear. That's they named me right, Leo the Lion, because I'm fearless, right? And I found that out at a young age, you know, at 15, 16 years old, when, you know, I'd fight out of my own weight category in Detroit, and people go, "What are you nuts?" I have no fear. Okay, what's the worst that could happen at the end of the day? But you do have to be careful, like I said, especially when there's a crime in progress. Like, and that's in my neighborhood where there was 4 assailants running around with butcher knives, right? Just stab somebody up. And, you know, you got to be careful because, you know what, I could have been a victim right there too, right? Oh, there's a free ride. There's my truck running right behind me the whole 9 yards, right? So you got to be careful, folks. That's all. As for Sherry, okay, in the restaurant, very happy for her. Now, that happened in what? Did it happen in Superior Court or did it happen just in the provincial court?
I believe that would have been a provincial court.
Yes, because if it was Superior Court, then it's case law for Ontario. Supreme Court would be case law for Canada, all of Canada, right?
Yeah.
So it's a big win regardless of what court ruled on it. Now, I don't know if the courts or if the Crown's going to try to appeal the decision.
No, because they didn't. It wasn't a decision. The Crown dropped it. They dropped the charges.
Then there you go.
They dropped the case. They said there was no reasonable expectation of success, and that it wasn't. I don't remember the exact language, but you know, there was no. It didn't serve the public interest in pursuing it anymore, so they let it go. And they knew.
Well, I think this is going to help the Scully case, Adam Scully.
I'm not sure that. I don't know that it will, though, Leo, because this is predicated on her being on First Nations land.
Native.
Yeah. Totally different kind of situation.
Yeah,
that's why.
Yeah, you got a sovereign nation within a sovereign nation.
That's right. They had no jurisdiction there.
And
no jurisdiction.
100%.
So
right, yeah. The band makes the rules.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the way it is there, right?
That's right.
So like it, love it, or hate it.
You can't send public health officers in there to enforce that kind of law. Now, see, if it's a murder or even a speeding infraction, certain Canadian laws still apply, right? You can't get away from those kinds of laws. But other laws, like health laws, as Mr. Olson was pointing out, those kinds of laws, those kinds of rules, they don't apply there. So
crazy, eh?
Yeah, it's just the way the law.
Crazy.
You have to know how the law works, right?
Well, for sure. You know, ignorance is 9/10 of the law.
Yeah, and I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer, but I do know that much. And you should never take legal advice from me because I'm not a lawyer. So anything I express,
I'm no lawyer either, but I'm no lawyer either, but I've spent more hours in court than most lawyers in this town for my own shit, right?
Yeah,
my life.
That's right.
So yeah, I know the proceedings and the I know what goes on, and I respect the law. I do, 100%. I do, right? Not common law. The Canadian justice system, broken it, and I've been cracked with the whip many a times. And I don't blame the justice system. I don't blame the cops. I blame myself at the end of the day because you know what? I broke the law. And, you know, had to pay the fiddler at the end of the rope. So with that being said, Rick, carry on. D, call in or I'm never calling again.
Okay. Thank you, Leo. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Rick.
Take care, my man. And good work out there. You are a newsman. You are a reporter, even though you don't think you're not. Okay, let's move on to our next call. I think it's Steve. How are you tonight?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. What's up?
Oh, not too bad. I want everybody to know who I am. It's me, Trudeau is a commie.
Okay.
I wanted the chat to know. But this Christine Anderson thing, I don't think people understand. I've been kicked off a few freaking chat sites the last week, 4 or 5 days, because I'm trying to tell people to be educated. And I'm getting flack.
Okay.
Now, Christine Anderson's party is called what? The Alternative for Germany.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. A lot of people don't know this. This is one thing I like watching your show, Rick, is you say all the time, this is my opinion, do your own education. Right? You say it all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't speak German, but look up this. The party's name is, they support Christine Anderson. PEGIDA is the name of the group. Their leader, his name is Lutz Buckman. He dressed up like Hitler on Facebook. And when I learned this, you said it last week in your show. 80% of the people that went to go see Christine Anderson are there because of what she said in Parliament.
That's right.
Now, people need to learn. You know, that's all. If you don't want to be educated and you want to listen to Christine Anderson, go ahead. But I think Paul Yev did the right thing. If he knows this, I found this out in a matter of minutes. It's on Wikipedia. Boom, there you go.
Yeah.
So, do we really need someone like that telling us how to run our country? And I mean, Germany's what, 85 million people. She has 10, 11% of the vote. That's like the NDP here. So
yeah, not even.
I really don't care what people say to me. Yeah, I don't care what people think of me. Like I said, I've been kicked off about 4 or 5 sites the last week.
Yeah.
Because they just keep pushing. Oh, Paul Yev did wrong. Paul Yev did wrong. Paul Yev did wrong. You know, Max hugging her. Like, that was it. In my eyes, I support Max to a point. But when it comes down to it, in my eyes, Max started the party because he's a freaking whiner because he lost a shear.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is all fair. I mean, I think it's all fair game, what you're saying.
Right? There you go. You got it on your freaking screen. Now, both these parties, you know, they support each other.
Yeah.
If people, if you can't do this, if I could find this information out in minutes, I mean, there's a big guy on YouTube that kicked me out.
Yeah.
And I really don't give a care. And I gave him shit. I said, you know, if I can find this information out in a matter of minutes, so should everybody else.
Yeah. You know, and I'm aware
they're anti-jihad.
I'm aware of some of this. I'm not extremely well versed in you know, her party. I was not able to find statements from her in the limited amount of time that I've spent researching her since that last program to find statements from her that were racist. But I still don't think I know enough about her to say that I like her or dislike her or have really any strong opinion one way or another about her. Because I like most Canadians, like you said, what do I know about her? She said, "Mr. Trudeau, please spare us your presence." Everybody went crazy for her. She got international attention because of that. Now she's on tour. It's like a one-hit wonder thing, right? A one-hit phenomenon. Yeah. But there's a lot more to it than that, and we're just touching on it here. It's a big concern. But as we've seen, even here in Canada, and in the U.S., Lori did a poll on her Twitter and came back with a 60% they'd be vote saying people would be okay if somebody was walking around with a Nazi flag. Which I'm okay. I would support someone's right to do it, but I wouldn't endorse it or support it. Right.
Right. Okay. My family comes from Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, the southern states, Boston. Almost every uncle, great grandfather of mine has all gone to war since the Civil War.
Yeah.
Right. I tried to join the army when I was a kid. I have health conditions. I couldn't join. My brothers are in the army. My cousins are in the army. Every one of my male family members, even some female, are in the army. It is a big priority in our family.
Yeah.
I have an American flag, a Canadian flag, a fuck Trudeau flag. And I know a lot of people will be pissed, but I have a Confederate flag because my great-great-great-grandfather and great-great-great-uncle fought for the Confederacy.
Yeah.
It's a part of my history. I have the battle flag, not the Confederate government flag. I have the battle flag.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference. And I had it on my pickup truck for years, and my wife was from Atlanta, and we used to get just accused all the time. Oh, you should take that off. You should take that off, right? Now, my wife at the time, she had the major Southern accent, and she would fucking stick her face out the truck and just scream at these people. This is our history. You have no right. I don't fly it anymore because my truck got vandalized a couple of times. So it was like, okay, well, guess I'll take that off. And I live in Calgary, so. But that's all I wanted to say. I needed to get this out.
I hear you. I understand the concern. I do.
I mean, I listen to your show. I watch it all the time. I've been off the chat for about a week because I was so pissed with a lot of people, not just your show, other shows as well. Mr. Sunshine Baby kicked me off his. Like
He kicked you off his show because you said what you're saying here?
Yeah. Yeah. I posted it on a chat, and I went to, or I posted a comment, and I went to go say something the other day, and no, he wouldn't accept it.
Well,
but he's losing subscribers big time because of some of the things he said lately. He even said it in one of his shows. But I don't know if people see. That's another thing. When Mr. Sunshine Baby first came out during the convoy, there was also a guy, I'm sure a lot of us know him. He was from Alberta, Medicine Hat, Tires Roast Garage, I think it was called. And he went out with the convoy and did posts 3-4 times a day from the convoy. Mr. Sunshine Baby was stealing from other people's sites and not giving credit where credit was due. Roaster's Garage caught him on that and accused him, saying, "Hey, you're stealing my footage," right? And I don't know. I lost a lot of respect for Mr. Sunshine Baby.
I don't
think
really
he
watch
does
him,
his
so I
education.
really don't know what his channel
Yeah,
is.
and I really shouldn't slander him.
I don't know.
I shouldn't do it. Right? But this is why I like watching your show, because you may be a couple days late in a story when everybody else is, getting their subscription out, trying to get those YouTube counts. And then you come out 2 days later with the same story, and you got way more information than they ever did. And you'll have a guest where they didn't have a guest. And at the end of the show, you say, "This is my opinion. Figure it out for yourselves."
Yeah.
And that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, sir. All very fair.
And I hope so.
Absolutely.
Because I'm sure I'm getting beaten up in the chat.
I don't know. Maybe, probably. Everybody's beating everybody up these days.
And we shouldn't be beating each other up. Trudeau is freaking winning. If Trudeau is Randy Couch, and I'm sure a bunch of us know who Randy Couch is on the chat, we see him everywhere. He's a troll. He's a bot.
Yeah. Well,
like he's winning when we all start fighting in the chat.
Yeah.
He wins.
Well,
we all have opinions.
Yeah.
We need to respect each other's opinions.
That's right.
It just makes me sick.
We should respect each other's opinions. Now, I will not tolerate sabotage and vandalism in the chat. I've had it with that, so I'm not.
I wouldn't say that.
Right.
I wouldn't say that.
Right.
But
yeah, difference of opinion. Do you want to talk about the issues? Yes, that's what the chat should be about. That's about exploring issues and sharing ideas, and it's a community, right? And there has to be a level of respect in there, absolutely. So,
and with with what's going on with Trudeau and this new China freaking scandal, it's no wonder the Freedom Convoy has split off into so many it's split off so much now. People are just tired. And now we're fighting amongst us because we all want different things.
Yeah.
We have to get back to the basis.
I don't know. We're just entering a new phase. It's a whole new phase. It's stuff that I've sort of touched on, and things are just going to evolve naturally. I think you're going to see the freedom movement probably. I don't think it is so much a freedom movement anymore. It's got that brand on it, but I don't think that's what it is anymore. It's not what it was a year ago in Ottawa. It just isn't.
No.
It's a variety of things, and
But
mostly
I
it's
think
political and a bunch of other stuff. And we can get into it another night. We've touched on it, and there's going to be more stories coming out of that will be related to that stuff. So you know how it's going.
right on, sir. That's all I wanted to say. And to Malfa South, good job. I'm also a shithead. I'm almost 60. I've done my shit. And I respect everybody in the chat.
Yep.
I just wanted to say that.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. You have a great night. Good call.
Have a good night.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Here's John. John.
Here's
welcome
Rick.
back.
How you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
I've been going crazy.
Going crazy.
You know what? I really like one of my heroes, Wooly Harrison. You know who he is, eh?
Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrison.
Harrelson.
He was on Saturday Night Live.
Woody
I don't watch
Harrelson.
Saturday Night Live because Saturday Night Live is too woke for me. I don't watch it anymore.
Yeah.
Especially when they were, but anyways, he was on there Saturday. You can go on YouTube, you guys. You can't play it on your show, Rick. You'll get banned.
Oh, you're talking about his documentary?
No, he was on Saturday Night Live.
Oh, he was on Saturday. Okay. Yeah.
That's Woody Harrison SNL. You'll find it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but don't play it, Rick. You'll get banned.
Yeah, we won't do that.
He says he forgot his. And Saturday Night Live is woke, eh? They're all liberals on it.
Yes, of course they are.
And he says he forgot his script. He started rambling on about Wuhan, the truth about it, about Fauci, about lockdowns, jab. He was, I tell you, this guy is great, man. He told it like it is. I don't know why they never blocked him out, but I don't think he's allowed out to go on there anymore. What a guy! He's great. I listened to it a couple of days
You like
ago.
him, do you?
Oh yeah,
He's pretty woke,
yeah, he's good.
isn't he? Isn't he pretty woke?
Hey, when you got time, watch it, Rick. You'll see what I'm talking about. When you got time, watch it.
Yeah, I haven't really paid much attention
And-
to him in quite a while, but
Well, watch it. Saturday Night Live. It was live. It wasn't taped. If it was taped, you wouldn't hear about it.
well, how am I supposed to watch
It
it
was
live
live.
if it's already over? I have to watch the
Well,
recording.
It's on YouTube. The recording's on YouTube.
So I
all
will be
over
watching a
YouTube.
recording. It is recorded now.
Well, now it is, but at the time, it was
Well,
live.
it'll be live to tape.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And another guy I like is Elon Musk. He loved him. He says that was great, and he says I got some stuff on Fauci, should lock them up, and he says I got documents to back it up. So the whole world's starting to wake up. Wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff. But you know what's really? I got to start doing my taxes. I'm starting to.
Yeah, you don't want to go to
I
jail
got
for
to
tax
spend time.
evasion.
No, I always do my taxes, but I got to get everything ready for. But I was on my phone, and I got hacked on my phone.
You got hacked on your phone.
I got hacked on my phone.
How do you get hacked on a phone? Like on the internet part,
I
or
don't know.
like on the phone?
I was on the internet. Yes, I was
Okay.
on the internet, but they froze my phone. My phone froze.
Okay.
And I was on some horse race. I was on no porno site. I was on some horse racing site, just looking up some scoop, And all of a sudden, big screen flashed. You're locked, and blah blah blah. I go, what?
Well, that's
And
probably because you downloaded the virus when you were on the porn site, and then it affected you later.
Yeah, okay. So I don't go on porn sites because I'm too afraid of getting. I'm getting to it right now. So I did a hard reset. Not a hard reset. A hard reset. Like and it wasn't a factory reset. It was a hard reset.
Okay.
And then it wanted a password for Google account, and I don't have a Google account, and I'm saying,
you don't have a Google.
Oh my! So no.
Do you have a Gmail account?
No. Yeah, I got a Gmail.
Well,
but
your
that wouldn't
Gmail
work.
your
I
Gmail
tried.
account is your Google account, John.
Well, I tried that, but I didn't remember the password for that Gmail account.
Yeah,
on
see,
that
that kind of helps as if you have the password.
So
Been there. I know what you're
anyway,
going through.
So I took it into to a guy in the mall. He wanted $80 to unlock it, and I said, $80. He says, that phone's not worth $80. I said, that's why I have this phone, because I'm under the radar. He goes, well, it's an old phone. I'm not paying you $80. So I went to, I'm with Freedom. So I went to Freedom, and he says, I can't help you. I tried here, but go upstairs. There's a place up there. See if they can help you. So I went upstairs. So he wanted $50 to unlock it. So I says, you know what? I'm going to upgrade to the this Samsung model here. This one looks good. So I paid the guy $300 cash, and I got home, and Bixby. I don't know if you got Samsung, but there's a Bixby on there. I go, what the hell is this Bixby? It's like Amazon. You know, when you talk to that stupid thing, Alexis or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, voice.
You can't get rid of it. You can't get rid of it, Rick. You can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
So I did some research, and then Coast to Coast had a guy on there 2 nights ago, and I was listening to this guy. The whole world, the robots are taking over, Rick. Robots are taking over. Gray men. We're going to have everything you buy today. You buy a car, they can hear everything you're saying. Conversation. You know that, eh?
Yes.
All the cars. You can't hack it or nothing. TVs. They can hear everything you're saying.
Yes.
Cell phones.
Yep.
They can hear everything you're saying. All your conversation, your camera, everything.
Yeah.
These people with vacuums that clean your house out of robots. They can see everything. There's no privacy, Rick.
Remember
everything you buy today.
Yeah. So
everything you buy today.
Just make sure you wear your robe around the house when you get up.
What about your bedroom?
Yeah,
I take my
PJs on.
Yeah, I take my phone to. Anyways, listen, this is crazy. The world we live in. There's no privacy. I'm going nuts. So I'm trying. The only way I can hack it is bubble gum. I put my phone's got two mics, one in the bottom, one in the top. Yeah. You put bubble gum on it, a piece of tape, problem solved. And then your camera, you got to put a Band-Aid on your camera on the front and the back, problems. But then you have no camera. My phone's got a great camera. It's got a good recorder. So I don't know. So you know what? I'm not guilty of anything, so I got nothing to hide. But it's just I like my privacy. Don't you like your privacy, Rick? Shit.
I do. When the power went out yesterday, it was I actually enjoyed it.
You enjoyed it.
I did.
It wouldn't bother. It wouldn't bother me, Rick. It wouldn't bother me.
I was working and working and working and working and working and working. My head's doing 5 million things like it always is. I'm just information overload all day, all night, and then the power went out. And I was like, what do I do now? And then I was just back to being a human. It forced me, John. It just forced me to stop.
I'm speaking it out.
Absolute stop. Dead stop. Everything. My whole life, my working life is inside this stupid screen. And it was mentally recharging to just disconnect.
Everything's being recorded. Your phone is like a walking sensor. Everywhere you go, they know where you are. They can pinpoint, go right to the T. They know where you are.
Yeah, that's right.
You know? I don't know. It's pretty sickening, Rick.
Let me
I
ask
got
you
so
this,
annoyed.
though, John. If they're tracking you and spying on you, what do you think they're going to do with that? Like, why do you think they care?
Well, nothing. I'm not guilty of anything.
How paranoid should we be, do you think, about this stuff?
Well, if I was 17, I'd be paranoid, but not anymore. 17. Imagine all the kids that are 7. They're too stupid to figure this stuff out. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they don't give a crap, and they're too stupid. They don't understand. Everything you buy today is monitoring you. Everything, from a fridge to a stove to a toaster, they all got these chips in there that, and now they got these chips that go in your head.
Yeah,
implants, and people are going to get them because you can see through walls. You put a chip in your head, and you can see through you can see through a wall. You can see through people's clothes. They're going to get them.
Oh, that's old school, man. Well, I'll show you. That's old technology.
Chips that do that. But the chip goes in your head, and you can see through walls, and you can. Everybody out there's going to want to get it. They want to see through a wall. They want to see through a bedroom. There, go, hey, what the hell is Rick doing?
Oh man, look.
Oh man,
look.
No privacy, man. We're screwed.
John.
They
had that kind of technology back when I was a kid. And look, I've got it up on the screen right now. X-ray specs. You could order that stuff right on the back of a comic book. You didn't.
I bought one when I was a kid. It didn't work. It says imagine. Read it. It says imagine. It says imagine. That's how they don't get sued. You got to read what it says there, Rick. I bought one of those and it didn't work.
Look at this one.
Heck? I can't.
Remember that ad right there, the X-ray specs, and it says scientific optical principle really works.
Oh, I remember that ad. Yeah.
Imagine you put the X-ray specs and hold your hand in front of you. You are then to be able to look right through the flesh and see the bones underneath. Look at your friend.
Oh.
Is that really his body? Blah, blah, blah. And they've got a picture of a woman and the outline of a skirt.
Yeah.
Oh, and sea monkeys.
Yeah.
Sea monkeys. What are sea monkeys?
Sea monkeys.
Yeah, what are they?
I heard of that.
Do you know what sea monkeys really are?
What?
Brine shrimp.
Oh, brine shrimp.
Shrimp.
I've ate that before.
No. Brine shrimp. It's like little weeny teeny things, and you buy it, and they're little eggs, and you put them in the water, and they hatch, and they're little, so small, and actually you feed them to tropical fish. It becomes food for tropical fish. They're like little specks.
Oh, that's for fish. Oh, yeah.
They're little
I use them for my African cichlids when I had fish. Yeah.
So actually, that's what sea monkeys are. People think that they're like going to get little monkeys with a crown on their head and have a little kingdom of sea monkeys, but it's just brine shrimp. That's what it is. And they do hatch and they swim around. You can see them, and they're teeny, teeny, weeny little things. But that's what it is.
But Rick, they say aliens are here right now. And you know what the aliens are? Robots.
No, well, they may well be, but I think that I think they're among
robots.
us in the chat even tonight.
Yep. Yeah.
They've come to join the rest of us here on the island of misfit toys.
They said they already got them out. I was looking at. Hey, you can have sex with a robot.
I don't want to have sex with a robot.
Like, you can buy these robots, and they got lips, flesh, and they look like. Or you can get the gray colored one, the one that's iron, you know. If you're into iron.
The what?
You can get the gray robot. The gray robot. The one that are
like the alien gray?
Like iron, you know. Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Anyways, no, I've seen them. You can. They're coming out with them right now. They're almost done. This whole world is. We don't need all these people here anymore. The robots are going to take over. I'm telling you. I'm looking 10 years ahead, Rick. I'm not like looking. I always look.
What do you
10
mean by
years ahead
take
in
over?
my life.
Take over
the planet.
Like they're gonna like rule the world, and we're gonna be servants to the
wipe
robots?
us out. They're gonna wipe us out.
Okay.
Just like that Ohio spill. You know that Ohio spill?
Yeah.
You know how many people are gonna die because of that? That was man-made. That was intentionally done. This chemical it's gone into the ground, into the wells, into the rivers. You know what's going to happen? All the animals are going to eat it, and we eat the animals. We're going to get sick. Okay, people are going to drink that water, well water. They're going to get sick. They're going to die. They're going to. You go hunting. The animals drink it from the water. I'm telling you, it was man-made. You knew that, eh? Did you know that was man-made?
Well, what do you mean by man-made?
Somebody did it, and it was like that pipeline, the gas pipeline, the German pipeline.
I'm gonna challenge you a little bit. So,
yeah,
how do you know?
How do I know?
Yeah, what's your
reading
evidence or proof that someone did that intentionally?
Actually, I might have sent it to you. Check your email.
Well,
I might have sent it
to you. Maybe you did, but I just want to know.
I did. I sent it to you, the article. That's how I was reading it.
Okay, so that's my question. What is the proof of the intent? So if this was going to go to court and you were going to accuse someone, because that has to be someone or some people who have done it, so you're going to take them to court and you're going to prove that it was intentional. So you have to prove intent. So what's the proof of that?
It was done by the WF. I don't know.
But there you go, John. So I'm just asking you, what do you think they're going to do?
I'm throwing shit in your head
if they're going to
way over your head. Who?
What?
I'm telling you. Well, I sent you the article.
Well, you're telling me, but I want to know what your proof is of intent.
From that article I was reading, the article was from government website.
A government website.
It's like that the gas pipeline that the German pipeline.
Yeah.
Can you prove that? Can you prove that? That was intent? Can you prove that?
Well, the journalist who wrote the story is a very credible guy, and
there you go. And I sent you
and has sources.
The journalist who wrote that story. I think that was done by the government. Okay, that was done by the government. That was intentional.
Yeah, I mean, very difficult to prove because it's all underwater, right? So
it's all underwater.
I'm inclined to believe that the U.S. and allies did that.
Well, that spill is not that spill was intentionally done. And
well, wait a minute. Hang on. Stop. You're making a statement. You're making a claim.
Yep.
And so I'm again going to challenge you. If you're going to make that statement, what are you backing that up?
Let me see. I probably got your email here still. Hang on a sec. I'll tell you where I found it.
And you can't say that someone else's opinion is proof or evidence.
Junk.
Somebody's got to have some evidence of something to show that
I got a back. Oh, it's still here. Oh my!
Because I know there was an issue with the brakes, but that was really about how they had delayed upgrading the type of brakes on the train. I did read about that. But that I don't think
I got too much
proves intent. And who would be responsible? I think the idiots that set it on fire, that's pretty easy to prove. They intentionally set it on fire, That was a crazy,
Trash, maybe.
stupid thing to do. No
No,
question about
I
that.
sent you the email. Oh, Maverick, here we go.
Yeah.
Ohio, here we go. Ohio. I called it the untold truth. There you go. I click on it to see if it's still there. Yeah. Criminal. It's Ohio. There you go. There's the truth there. You can play this on the air. It's nothing wrong with it, but it's a video. It's 11 minutes, but you can play it when you got time. And it'll explain everything about it. The Ohio trained derailment. Let's call it what it is. The situation.
Sorry,
corruption.
did you send that back to me? Did you? What are you reading? Give me the info.
I called you. It's on Rumble.
So it's a video.
I called
or
it
something.
the untold truth.
The untold
Yeah.
truth.
You want me to send it to you again?
Yeah, sure. Send it to me. You know, I got to move on though, John, because we've been on for almost 20 minutes. So we can deal with it maybe tomorrow night, and then if we can.
I sent it to you. Yeah.
And if
But
we
you
can
know
dig
what
up
else?
actual evidence that somebody has provided out there, then that would be extremely helpful, right? And then we can.
You know what else?
And say, well,
you know what else I can tell you?
Yep.
You know what else pisses me off?
Mhm.
Is they're trying to kill us with eggs and chickens and pork.
They're trying to kill us with eggs. How?
Eggs, chicken, and pork. Be careful what you eat, because they got these cages and they got like 20 chickens in these cages. They don't even have time to. They just put them in there as soon as they're right next to each other. Like they don't even get out and go for a walk. Yeah. And they grow, and then they chop their head off and sell them to the markets. The bird flu's coming back, and it's caused by this. The eggs, they got 20 chickens in a little cage laying eggs. You got diseases. I can't tell you enough, but there's horse meat coming across the border, and they're selling you as steak, horse meat. We're being, watch what you eat, man. Rick, there's a lot of stuff that you don't know what's going on in this planet.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of stuff that's going on, but you know what? Like, I got to move on.
This is what I'm into. I'm into this shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Rick, we'll talk another time. Okay. I got some other stuff to tell you, but I can't tell you on here.
Okay.
Because it affects you. Bye.
It affects me. Call me then. Call me after, or whatever. All right. I choose to not be afraid. How about that? So that I can survive. Hello, Jeremy. How are you tonight?
Oh, I'm pretty good. How was you, Mr. Rick?
I am okay, sir.
Oh, that's good. I'm just working, and you're just working.
Yeah, you're a little distorted tonight. I'm not sure what the issue is with your phone. It's hard to understand you.
How about now?
A little bit better.
Can you hear me better now?
A bit, yep. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So I just wanted to add a little fun fact to your conversation about the Wuhan Institute of Virology leak.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy that claimed that he knows more than all the other Canadians about the pandemic missed something. And Canada, the government of Canada actually gave almost $1 million to the Wuhan Institute of Virology in somewhere around February of 2020. And this was under a government initiative to, fund this pursuit of understanding, COVID-19 and, the very fabricated artificial narrative we were fed early on.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to add that now that it's coming out on our legacy media, they're back in 2020, it was like April 2020, because I was all over the internet back then too. Anyway, so there was a Rebel News report where they found the evidence on the government website of funding the Wuhan Institute of Virology. So you can add that to your little utility belt of information for when it matters, right?
Thank you.
Because I think it does matter a lot. So.
Yeah.
And
okay.
That's about all I got to add for you.
Cool.
I'm a bit of a scatterbrain sometimes, so I kind of venture off on different subjects sometimes.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to let you know that I'm not trying to step on your toes or anything when I sometimes go off topic and whatnot. So.
Yeah. No problem.
I just want a big problem is access to information, right? And we're living behind this modern day iron curtain. So I like to just throw out, information out there for people so they can go look into it. And what I call it is an intellectual utility belt. So you can be equipped with the information you need to protect yourself and educate other people. So I try to be humble and not to be egotistical, because that can get you in a position of pissing people off and being completely wrong about things, right? So I just like to lead people in a direction where they can access expert information from real people. Like, I'm not a scientist.
Yeah.
So I lead them in the direction of a real scientist, and I'm like, so go learn from this guy because he's a real scientist, right?
Yep.
And I think where John kind of gets, I love John. Hi, John. You're an awesome guy, and I appreciate you. But you gotta understand what a filter is, and some of these websites are websites where they give you some truth so that you'll believe they're a website with legitimate information, but they'll also feed you bullshit. And that, I think, is a deliberate kind of play psyop on the public to create more division and more confusion. So that's a state funded initiative probably as well. And a good example of that is QAnon. So I'm on the lookout for bullshit websites that try to trick me into believing a bunch of dumb shit. Like, I found one, and they were claiming they had, this was like a year ago, I don't know, 8 months ago. They were claiming that they had a source in Mar-a-Lago. So a direct communication with Trump. And they claimed that Trump actually had a phone call conversation with Putin, Vladimir Putin. And I think that would have landed Trump straight in prison. And I think that would not have passed by lightly if it was true.
Yeah.
Yep. It's pretty, like, once you kind of get a good grip on how it works with the state trying to put you in prison, they'll find anything on you to put you in prison. So, John, try to build a filter because there's a lot of bullshit on the internet. And
good advice.
That's all I got for you, right?
All right. Thank you, my man.
So, again, have a good night, and appreciate all your hard work.
All right. Take care. All right. And that gets us to just a little after 9 p.m. Eastern time. So we're going to wrap it up there for tonight, folks, because I have other work to do to prepare for tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a big day, huge day. Really important interview tomorrow. You are not going to want to miss it. Trust me. A very big interview. Now, Lori just messaged as well and said that I got the numbers, the stats wrong on that poll she did on the swastika flag. I said, I think 60% were okay with it. And she messaged back and it's actually wound up to be 42% would be okay if they saw someone walking down the street carrying a Nazi flag with the swastika on it. That in itself is something to be concerned about, I think. So we should keep that in mind as we move forward in time. And we will be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here. Same channel, same host, same time. And we'll catch you all on the flip side. Thanks for watching. Appreciate everybody hanging in there. Take care.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.